games. The Raiders have won 4 of 5 games at Cleveland over the years. Both teams are playing their best football down the stretch. Today's game is brought to you in Sony High Definition, and the kickoff is next. 35 degrees in northern Ohio. Wind should not be much of a factor. There are some snow showers forecast. Head coach of the Raiders, Tom Cable, told us he feels his team is really getting close to being a real good team. And Eric Mangini and his Browns have won 2 straight. The Browns had not won 2 in a row in 24 games. So they're both on an uptick down the stretch run of the season. Raiders have won the toss, and they will receive. Ready to kick off for the Cleveland Browns. Phil Dawson in there. Deep man is Gary Russell for the Raiders. Third-year fullback, actually, out of Minnesota. Fullback running back, but a good kick returner. Browns kicking off into the closed end of the stadium. High spinning kick. Carries down to the goal line. And a wise move as the Raiders down the ball. And now Charlie Frye leads the Oakland Raiders out onto the field. Played collegiately at Akron, was of course a draft choice of the Cleveland Browns. Was pulled from the starting lineup after just a half of the first game in 07. And Derek Anderson, who will start today for the Browns, took over and went on to go to a Pro Bowl that season. And now Charlie Frye is back. He got his first meaningful playing time in 14 months last week. And before getting knocked out of the game at Denver, the Raiders, of course, won that game, coming from behind to do it. 1st and 10 Raiders. Both arms on the ball. And McFadden takes it straight ahead. As we look at the Raiders on offense, Mario Henderson playing better and better all the time at left tackle, a huge left guard. Raider offensive line blocking well. Michael Bush in the backfield now for the Raiders. As we look at some of the skill position players, Zach Miller was out last week. He leads them with 50 catches. Terrific tight end. 3rd year from Arizona State. It's now 2nd and 6.
Bush and McFadden are in the game, Don. McFadden bottom of the screen at wide receiver.
And they bring him out to the wide receiver position to the near side. Frye looks at him, throws it, picked off. Browns have the ball on intercept inside the 20. And Cameron Wembley going for the ball. And it's David Bowens who actually got his hands on it and took it inside. And it will be a great field position on this first turnover of the day on the second play.
Out to the far left of the screen. That's Darren McFadden lined up at wide receiver. They try to throw a quick slant. That was just a poorly conceived play, I think, and a very, very bad decision by Charlie Frye. That throws right into the wheelhouse of the defense, and David Bowens was right there waiting for it.
So a big development early in this game, and now the Browns go on offense. 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line of the Raiders. Derek Anderson at quarterback, under center. Handoff, running with the ball is Jerome Harrison, who had that huge game last week, as you were pointing out, Randy, the 3rd best running day in NFL history. 286 yards. Derek Anderson in his 5th year from Oregon State. Number 3, quarterbacking the Cleveland Browns, went to the Pro Bowl in 07. Originally a 6th round draft choice of Baltimore, and then he was cut. Browns signed him as a free agent.
And Don, this is Anderson's first real live start the game experience with this no huddle. Brady Quinn was running this, and he was the reason they put this in. But they decided to stay with the no huddle now with Anderson.
Anderson, yep, running it for the first time. Here's a handoff. Browns running it very well. This is going to go in. Jerome Harrison takes the football right into the end zone, and the Browns strike quickly on the Raiders. A 17-yard run from scrimmage. And Cleveland, capitalizing on the early turnover, goes out in front 6-0.
This ought to put you right here in the field. Look at the blocking by that whole front for the Cleveland Browns, especially that left side of the offense. Does a beautiful job with Steinbach and Thomas just clearing the way. And coming around from the backside was the offensive guard, Hadnot.
Well, Frye looking for answers. A bad throw. As far as the Browns were concerned, it was a great one. And now the point after attempt by Dawson is up and good. And the Browns on a 17-yard touchdown run after an interception gave them position. And they go out in front 7-0. 2 plays, 17 yards. This is Don Criqui with Randy Cross back at Cleveland, where the Browns on an interception by Bowens, and soon after a 17-yard touchdown run by Harrison, and they have taken a 7-0 lead on the Raiders. Here is the kickoff now by Dawson, a high spinning kick down to the 10-yard line, and the Raiders will get it out across the 30 into the 20 across the 20 now to the 27-yard line. Let's take a look now at the Browns on defense. Drafted by the Raiders, Kenyon Coleman is a defensive end. Tyba Rubin has been a big factor at nose tackle. He's really shored up the run defense. Linebackers saw Bowens at work early in this game. First pass of the Raiders, and he intercepted it. And changes in the secondary. Mike Pops Adams goes to right cornerback for Brandon McDonald. Furry is starting as a safety, and here's a handoff and weaving nicely up to the 29-yard line is Darren McFadden, who had a 12-carry 74-yard game against the Broncos. His best production, Randy, since September.
And really the key for them was how consistent each running back was, and they just gashed Denver. But they also share a vision running game wise in this game against Cleveland. They know Cleveland's pretty stout inside. They want to run off the tight ends, off the tackles outside.
Charlie Fry letting the long ball go, and he overshoots his man Chaz Schillens. A deep threat, but Fry strong of arm, too strong that time.
Oh, absolutely. That was a wide open Schillens too. You lead him the right way, he's going to get a heck of a chance working against Eric Wright. And remember, this defensive backfield for Cleveland, you got to concentrate on Mike Adams, normally a safety, working up at cornerback, and you've got to also concentrate on 87 Furry working at safety. He's had experience at safety before. This is a nice situation to get thrown into. He's played some already this year.
Now here's 3rd and a long 6. Fry gets a look, goes to a receiver, and Schillens comes down with the ball, but he does it out of bounds. So the Raiders are 3 and out, and the Browns, with a 7-0 lead, will get the ball back on a punt.
Well, the Cleveland Browns would love Charlie Fry and the Oakland Raiders to keep throwing the ball. I mean, I worry about their running game. If I'm Cleveland, they're going to continue to ignore it and put the ball in the air. I know you have questions about this defensive backfield, but you better establish the run.
Yeah, that's kind of a surprise, throwing those long balls early. Now here's the punt by Shane Lechler, who might be a record setter this season. Punting yardage, and Krebs, the sensational one, takes it across the 30 and to about the 32-yard line. A 53-yard punt by Lechler, a 14-yard return. Most rushing yards in a game, 296 for Peterson of the Vikings. Jamal Lewis 295 in 03, and then Harrison this year 286 last week. Now he reverses his field, Harrison, but the Raiders are all over it. Matt Shaughnessy, a rookie from Wisconsin, who's getting terrific grades, number 77, makes the tackle for a loss of 8 yards.
Hey, you come in as a young player, and these days not everyone expects you to really play your best football, especially in the second half of the season. That's what Shaughnessy's done. You see his aggressiveness, you see the quickness he can come off once he stops, puts his foot in the ground. Excellent athlete, nowhere to go but up for this kid. I really like him.
He has 4 sacks already, Matt Shaughnessy. Anderson, fastball on target. Beautifully executed pass play downfield. A 19-yard gain on the play. As coming down with the ball for the Browns is Evan Moore.
What a great story Evan Moore is. Eric Mangini has these opportunity periods for young players that haven't been playing, just to show what you can do. And he said Evan Moore in practice was killing his defense. Thought he'd give him a shot, gave him his first shot against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He comes out with 6 catches in that game and that big upset.
Yeah, it's 6 for 60. He said he just tore us up when he was on the scout team. We had to bring him up. And first down, Anderson takes a look. Out ball live. He tries to go to Vickers, his fullback. He's caught only 8 balls this year. As we look at the Raiders on defense, Richard Seymour, a very, very good acquisition, the 5-time Pro Bowler with the New England Patriots. Tom Flores, the former Raider coach, now one of the broadcasters, said one of the things he does best is make everybody around him better. Trevor Scott's been a real force. And Asamoah is, I think, Randy, widely acclaimed as the best cornerback in the game.
The best man-to-man all-around corner. He and Winfield up in Minnesota.
On second down, a pitch. Harrison breaks the first wave of pursuit. He's ahead for a gain of almost 9 yards. Hiram Eugene brings him down for the Raiders.
Yeah, the right tackle, Floyd Womack. Call him pork chop. I call him pretty quick. Look at the size of that guy. Look at the nice speed. He gets out in front of Harrison. Who couldn't run behind that, Don? You and I could get out and get some positive yards behind that kind of a block. That was a nice pancake.
There he is, Floyd Porkchop Womack.
Has been playing some guard. Now he's moved into the right tackle position since St. Clair came out.
Browns running game last week at Kansas City was awesome. They ran the ball 49 times to 357 yards, and they're running it again today. As Harrison is inside the Raiders' 40-yard line and down to the 38, a 10-yard gain on the play.
You got a Brown down on the field. Might be Royal, the tight end. He was lined up on that right side. That was a very nice job on that right side by Hadnot, Royal, and Womack.
Royals had some injury problems. He missed 3 games earlier this season with an injury. Moments in the 50 years of NFL on CBS.
Marcus Allen. Running back upfield, and Marcus Allen could be gone. 74 yards for Marcus Allen.
And Marcus Allen with 191 yards rushing in that game. And we thank Pat Summerall, one of the famous voices in so many of those 50 years of NFL on CBS. As Robert Royal, Randy Cross being checked out now. Looks to be Michael Gaines they're looking at. And now it is going to be first down and 10 for the Browns. And again, they gash the Raider defense down to the 27-yard line. 12-yard run.
Boy, inside, Steinbach, Mack, Hadnot working the inside of this Raiders defense. Excellent job by Hadnot. Look at the hole right there. That is just classic, perfect execution. You get a back like Harrison, he's got excellent burst. You give him an opportunity like that, that must look like running through a garage door.
And already, Randy, Harrison's got 40 yards on 6 carries, including that 17-yard touchdown run. From the shotgun, Anderson at 6'6", throws a fastball, live ball incomplete. Up for play, he was going to Chansi Stuckey.
Well, Chansi Stuckey, one of the many former Jets on this roster, as Eric Mangini built this team. Anderson, good protection. Nice job by the O-line, giving him some time and some space. He just throws this behind Stuckey, who was being covered by Nnamdi Asamoah. He had his front side all covered. He'd lead that ball out in front. I'm not sure if it's not a pretty good opportunity to make some yards, if not score.
Now Chris Jennings is in the backfield. Look at the pickup blitzers. He swings out. They go to him with the ball. Screen to him, but it's an errant throw. Anderson upset with himself, jumping up and down because there were blockers in front of Chris Jennings.
He's got nobody to blame but himself. They had the blockers. They had the screen set up just right. Derek Anderson just puts a little bit too much juice on that. Required touch, got a fastball.
Fastball it was, too tough to handle, and now Harrison comes back in as tight end Michael Gaines has now gone to the Browns locker room. This is the 9th play of the drive coming up. Browns scoring early in the game after an interception. First ball thrown by Fry of the Raiders. Soon after that, a 17-yard touchdown run. Here's a fastball again. Tight spiral down to the 24-yard line.
It's an interesting combination of routes, none of which were long enough to get a first down. That was a situation last month or so, they've gone to their tight end. They've gone to their Evan Moore. Didn't do it that time. Sets up Phil Dawson. Don with an opportunity for a 42-yard field goal.
And you see the 11-year veteran from Texas has hit 11 of 13 this year, 47 long. This will be a 42-yarder. Easy money for Phil Dawson, a very consistent kicker. Dawson hits it down the middle, and the Browns build their advantage to 10-0. Cleveland off to a fast start. Browns kick off when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Volkswagen Sign Then Drive event. German engineering for practically just a signature. And by Sprint, official wireless service sponsor of the NFL.
Scoring summary. Browns go 10 plays, 45 yards. And Dawson connects on a 42-yard field goal to build the lead to 10-0. And Dawson ready to kick off yet again.
Well, if this is indeed an audition to show what you can do to Mike Holmgren for these Browns, they're doing a heck of a job so far.
They are. The Browns off to a terrific start. Now Gary Russell comes up with the ball at the 6-yard line to return the kickoff. Looking for a place to go. Running out of time. Running out of room. Down he goes at the 26-yard line. So the Raiders will try again on offense. They've been good at coming from behind. They'll have to do it again today if they're going to win. Offensive woes for the Raiders. Yards a game. That's a big number, Randy. 31st is the big number.
Yeah, it really is. And that a lot of that comes off of the quarterback play. Jamarcus Russell, they probably waited too long to get him out of there and let him watch a little bit. And they suffered for it, and their stats suffered for it. I think they realize that as a football team and as an organization. They haven't given up on the young kid, but he wasn't handling it very well.
No, John Herrera from the Raiders said they're confident that down the line he's going to turn out to be a top player. Screen pass, beautifully done. Darren McFadden runs ahead, and the Raiders finally get a good offensive play out to the 41-yard line. Nicely done, 15 yards.
Absolutely, and you got to concentrate on the center. Samson Sattelli coming out of this formation. He gets the lead block, and it's just a little bit of a slam, and that's all it took to free up McFadden. He came out of the backfield very well, very quickly set up. Remember, Sattelli was in Miami. It was sort of a trade across. Jake Grove went to the Dolphins, and Sattelli came to Oakland. He's done a nice job.
And now Michael Bush comes in. He's the I-back. Bush had such a big day last Sunday in the win at Denver. 18 carries, 133 yards, including a touchdown run. Play fantasy football during the postseason for a chance to win $5,000. Sign up now for Playoff Challenge at cbssports.com/fantasy. 2nd and 6 coming up for the Raiders, down early 10-0 to the Browns at Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm impressed. We talked to Mike Adams, and he said actually he thought being a corner was a lot easier than being a safety.
Yeah.
Just sort of, he said, yeah, get your guy and go. You don't have to run the defense.
He said you only have to worry about one guy when you're a corner. He started both safety and corner. Here is a big hit on Zach Miller. And now while we have a moment, let's go to New York and JB.
Don and Randy, Houston needs a win to keep its slim playoff hopes alive. On 4th and 1 from the 10, Matt Schaub hooking up with Andre Johnson. Johnson's 9th receiving touchdown of the season. 10-0 Houston on top of Miami in Miami. Back to Don and Randy.
All right, JB. Matt Schaub, Randy, he's put up some huge numbers this year. 4 games of 350 or more passing.
Yeah, I think that Texan team can be very frustrating to their fans. They've got the talent. I think it's all between their ears, personally.
From the shotgun on 3rd and 3. Throwing a catch. First down Raiders. They're inside the 40 and down to the 36-yard line of the Browns. Chaz Schillens, 16-yard gain.
Oh, beautiful job inside. Cleveland showing the blitz. They'll give you a little bit of everything. It turns into man, and when it turns into man, Fry does a very nice job. He knows he's got the protection. Zip that thing out of there and get it to Schillens. That was a beautiful job by the whole offense. Really nice execution.
First and 10 for the Raiders. Michael Bush. Big yards inside the 25-yard line. Let's check out the Jaguars and the Patriots from JB.
A key defensive stop by the Patriots of Jacksonville on a 4th and 1 from their own 35 leads to Tom Brady hooking up with Randy Moss, a 2-yard strike, 11th receiving touchdown of the season for Moss. New England clinches the division title with the win. Let's take it back to Don and Randy.
KJB, as the guys were saying on the pregame show, Randy, Brady's never lost to the Jaguars.
And he's playing with a few dings and injuries with that finger and those ribs, but beautiful execution, beautiful hookup. You play the Patriots, the first thing you want to stop, I don't care what anybody says about Randy Moss, you leave him alone, he's going to drill you.
Yeah.
So you stop him first.
And you also want to have Wes Welker on the radar. He's another 100-plus catches this year.
By the way, speaking of that game, did Jacksonville ever get to play New England at Jacksonville? Do they always have to go up to Foxborough?
Up their line. I think they're wondering that. 2nd and 8 coming up for the Raiders, down 10-0. Charlie Fry. Throwing a catch, got a lot of yards down to the 16-yard line to Zach Miller.
That's a nice job. Nice job. Miller's just there as a safety valve. You look at the coverage down the field, there was nowhere for Charlie Fry to go. Miller's been in and out of the lineup, had himself a concussion a little while ago. There's been some doubt about him playing, but this is a different offense when they have that tight end weapon, because he is one heck of a receiver.
Yeah. Michael Adams talking about how concerned they were about Zach Miller and defending him. He was the Raiders' top receiver a year ago at 56. He has 52 this year, even after missing last week's game. And here is a look downfield, a throw, and a man is there, and the ball is taken in beautifully by Louis Murphy, but there is a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, that's right in the area of a quick little hold on an offensive lineman.
Holding.
That's what it is, Randy.
Yeah, it's against Cornell Green, the right tackle.
Still 3rd down.
Jeff Triplett, our referee, is right there. And Cornell Green lined up at the right tackle spot. He's going to get a little bit of a blitz in front of him, at least a blitz threat, and it doesn't end up being a blitz. And you see, that's the call right there. You get the yank in the front of the jersey, and suddenly the defender does a face plant. He usually doesn't do that by himself.
And now looks like Langston Walker. A couple of Raiders shaken up already today. Big Langston Walker, and he is huge. Limped off the field after their last play. An expensive hold, Randy, for the Raiders. Instead of a 1st and goal at the 2 of the Browns, is now 3rd and 14 at the 26.
Really the big difference. They've run the ball effectively, and Charlie Fry's been nails on this drive. He's 4 for 4. Started the game 0 for 3 with that interception by Bowens. He's been right on the money. In fact, that last one that got called back because of the penalty was a beautiful pass.
That was a completion negated by the hold of Louis Murphy. Fry gets time, throws a strike, and the ball is lost. Usually sure-handed Chaz Schillens had the ball in his hands, and as you see when he spins, he loses it. Mike Adams helped him with a pop. We'll get a good look at this again.
I tell you, Cleveland is blitzing and blitzing and blitzing, and Fry is handling it pretty well. Schillens got a little bit distracted by Mike Adams. He looks back on it, he'll know he should have had that one, because the O-line up front did a nice job of picking up the blitz and buying Fry that time.
And now Janikowski will try a 44-yard field goal for the Raiders. Snap and set down are good. The kick is hit hard and right through. And the Raiders are on the board with their first points. They now trail the Browns 10-3. 2:48 to go in the first quarter. And Tom Cable and his Raiders, they'll be kicking off when we come back to Cleveland.
A beautiful symmetry there in that second game, isn't there? Bobby Bowden was a former West Virginia head coach.
Yeah, he was. There's
Langston Walker taking the ride to the locker room to check that lower leg out.
Bobby said he never wanted to retire because he wasn't looking forward to the next big event after that. Here's Janikowski, a short kick, a spinning kick.
It's a live ball.
Yes, it is.
Live
and
ball,
the Raiders are
bites.
after it. The Browns fall on it. They wanted to keep it away from a return by Cribbs. Well executed by the Raiders. Browns fans are booing that they didn't get a chance to run it back.
Well, Cleveland's got off to the ideal start in this football game. The Raiders trying to blunt a little bit of the start and the momentum. I think that field goal does a little bit, but this Cleveland start was all sort of courtesy of Fry. Fry throws that interception right into the hands of Bowens. That sets up Harrison for his chance to jam in this quick little 17-yard touchdown run. You got Harrison's down on the field. Jerome Harrison.
He's an upbeat.
He's back there trying to dive on the ball. You dive on the ball. Sometimes you dive on the ball too well. You're trying to dive on the ball where you can grab it and not have it knock the wind out of you. It looks like he probably caught that one in the stomach as he dove on it.
Yeah, like a solar plexus shot. It's a rock when you fall on it. And now the Browns are ready to go with a 10-3 lead late in the first quarter. Jennings in at running back, the rookie from Arizona. Good run defense by the Raiders. Tommy Kelly shooting the gap, making the knockdown. I tell you, Randy, you blocked against this Raider front four, or some of the great Raider front fours in your days with the 49ers. This is a real tough, physical, typical Raider front four.
It is, and it's for one reason. Its size impresses the heck out of you. They're big. They're extremely quick. Kelly's quick. Seymour's quick. And they've got now with Scott as basically a Sam linebacker. That's another defensive end playing linebacker.
And now on the Wildcat run, they stop Cribbs. That's Matt Shaughnessy. They extol his quickness and ability, and not many guys that get Cribbs for a loss, but he just lost a yard.
Yeah, there's Shaughnessy. Here's Cribbs, and they get in this formation. They call it the flash formation because Cribbs went to Akron, where the Akron Flashes.
Actually, Kent State.
Kent State, I'm sorry.
The Golden
That's
Flashes.
Right. The Zips is the other one, right?
Yeah, how about the Akron Zips? They just got a new coach. I think it'd be a very good one. Rob Ianello, University of Akron. Jerome Harrison, he's okay. He's back in the lineup. A couple of deep breaths on the sideline. Anderson, stunned by the Raider pass rush. And Anderson at 6'6" falls forward, but it's a sack. He lost yards, and the Browns will now have to punt. The Raiders are up to speed right now.
Well, former Cleveland Brown Gerard Warren was the man that penetrated and caused the trip up by Anderson. At least he should get credit for it. He was in there as the prime instigator. Anderson had plenty of room in front of him to run, though, if he'd have been able to keep his feet.
Johnny Lee Higgins is back now for the Raiders, standing at the Oakland 40-yard line. The punt hit downfield by Reggie Hodges. Raiders will get good field position out of this as to midfield is Higgins. 36-yard punt, a 3-yard return. Tuesday on CBS, celebrate great American artists Bruce Springsteen, Robert De Niro, Mel Brooks, and more. The Kennedy Center Honors, Tuesday only, CBS.
The show would have to be about 6 hours long to show enough highlights for that kind of talent, wouldn't it?
It's a great show every year. Tremendous. Right now, the ball right at midfield, and so the Raiders, after really a tough start. First pass of the day thrown by Fry, intercepted by Bowens. 2 plays later, touchdown run by Harrison, and the Browns led 7-0. Here's Bush running hard.
What a great story this guy is, Don. Michael Bush comes out of Louisville. You know, if you follow college football at all, you know he had a pretty bad break in that leg. He gets drafted and pretty much paid to sit around and watch for a year or so while he healed up. And what a fabulous combination with McFadden. But he really, when they give him enough opportunities, he just pays off. They just haven't given him enough games where he's gotten multiple opportunities, like as in more than 10, 15 carries.
Yeah, he said you just have to wait for it. He got 18 last week over one 3-game stretch. He only had 9 carries before that. Fry with a good fake, gets some time running out of it. Fry's very mobile. And Johnny Lee Higgins looking at somebody come in to whack him, it looked like. Incomplete.
If that quarterback's going to buy time, if your quarterback's going to go to the trouble of escaping and putting himself at risk and you're a receiver, if he gets it anywhere in your general vicinity, you got to catch that ball.
It's a drop. And with 11 seconds to go in the first quarter, it's 3rd down and 3 for the Raiders. Fry 4 of 9, throwing the ball for 38 yards in that big interception, and now a false start. Apparently going to be signaled.
It's against inside on that Raider
False
offense.
start for 51 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Morris, one of the guards, called for a forced stop.
Remember, he's in the game. Langston Walker was at guard. He came out of the game with a lower right leg injury. He was carted in to get a look at it to see what exactly it is. His return is questionable. I tell you, if I'm the Raiders, I've got McDonald in the game right here with this multiple receiver set, number 22. I think they came into the game trying to get a situation when they could take advantage of him. They get a chance. He's got Schillens on him.
Browns blitz. Raiders pick it up. Downfield throw, and Murphy can't get to it. Fry told us about the rookie from Florida, Louis Murphy. He is going to be awesome.
What was that comment? You don't want to tell him he's that good.
Right.
but he really does have something, and he comes out of that spread offense. Not the easiest thing to recognize NFL style defenses, but boy, this young kid's done a great job of adjusting to NFL defenses as a receiver.
Came into the game with 26 catches, did Murphy, 4 for touchdowns, a captain of a national championship team at Florida. Leckler, who's averaging 51.5 yards a punt. Down to Cribbs, and the Raiders really good special teams coverage. They stop him at the 9. Tyvon Branch is the guy that got him into the first quarter. Browns lead at 10-3. We'll return to Cleveland after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 44. All right, we're ready to go now. Don Criqui with Randy Cross. As the Browns, after a quarter of play, holding to a 10-3 lead. Now they'll start at their 9-yard line, 1st and 10.
Power formation.
And they go to a gap run, inside power run. And slight gain, about 3 yards on the play. Happy holidays to you, Don Criqui, with the former 49er All-Pro Randy Cross. The running game of the Browns off to a good start. Harrison has 6 carries for 40 yards, including a 17-yard touchdown run.
Absolutely, and he's getting some wonderful blocking up front from that offensive line. And this is an area of the field they really need to have it in. By the way, Michael Gaines, who left the game a little earlier, he's back on the field and in at tight end.
Gaines had a shoulder banged up, and look at these. Man, I tell you, they've got guys who are coming off. Gerard Warren, who was the #1 draft choice of the Browns back in '01. Number 3 pick overall. Playing some great football.
He's in the onside gap between the guard and the center and just penetrates, and no one even breathes on him.
Loss of 5 on the play, and all of a sudden momentum, Randy, has really swung the Raiders' way because of their defense.
That's what I get for praising that offensive line. What do right away? They get smacked around a little bit. Now a spread, pure spread, with Harrison returning to the backfield now.
Anderson from the end zone over the middle of the field, and it's a live ball, not near an intended receiver. Looking at Ethan Moore. So the Browns are hearing it from their fans, and the Raiders are going to get the ball back and perhaps in very good field position.
It's a whole different pace, isn't it, offensively, Don? Brady Quinn, when he was running this no huddle, there was a little bit more of a bounce to this offense. I know the running game's a little bit better, and it's still a no huddle, but it seems much more hesitant with Derek Anderson in here.
It does. He's not run the no huddle, as we were mentioning, and now Hodges from the end zone. High punt. Higgins comes up on it. He was impeded.
Well, we might have a consultation here, though. He definitely got run into. But did McDonald get blocked into him?
Brandon McDonald, who lost his starting job today, he's had trouble covering at right corner. He was the guy coming down, made contact on special teams, but we'll see if he was indeed blocked into him.
Yeah, Jeff Triplett Screws consulting about that very thing, I'm sure.
Browns over the years have had trouble handling the Raiders at Cleveland. Raiders winning 4 of 5 previously at Cleveland.
Interference is an opportunity to make a fair catch. Number 22, the kicking team. 15 yards penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Answers that question. Wasn't blocked.
So we'll be coming back, and the Raiders will have the ball.
At the end of a
Starting for the Raiders, Fry pump fakes, gets the ball to his tight end, and Zach Miller works the sideline inside the 20. See, Randy, how the Raiders did in those opening possessions.
Well, the first 4 with the INT, the field goal is the third, but these last 2 possessions, they've gotten them at midfield and they've started at the 30-yard line. This is the kind of pressure that this Browns defense can't afford to put on itself. And if Fry's going to start zeroing in, remember, started 0 for 3 with an INT. Since then, much more accurate.
Slashing run attempt. McFadden, not a real big back. He's rangy and very fast. He weighs 210 and stands 6'2".
And you know, and Don, this shows a little bit of what the Raiders were talking about with McFadden and Bush in this game. They wanted to run these guys inside. They want McFadden to show that speed. He is such a deceiving runner when you look at him physically. You know, he came out of Arkansas having run their wild hog kind of as a quarterback halfback. You don't appreciate how big this kid is and what kind of speed he is. He's better on the edges.
Other guy with a really good speed is Fry, Tom Cable, so they're very concerned about. He can run like crazy is the way he phrased it.
Timeout.
He likened him to Rocky, one of the Rocky movies, chasing the chickens. He runs around like that.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Sony Bravia HD TV. High definition, it's in Sony's DNA. Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And by State Farm. To us, nothing's more important than being there.
Raiders mounting their best challenge of the day. Ball at the just outside the 15-yard line. There's a Fry on the rollout. There's that mobility as he gets it down to the 11.
That was a nice job by Kenyon Coleman, the defensive end, getting out there to trip up Fry. You were just talking about his ability to run and how it's a nice augmentation to this Raiders offense. But Coleman, and he is flat out, make no mistake, the big defensive end is going about as fast as he possibly can to cut off that angle on Fry and set up this 3rd and short.
Now Michael Bush, the power back at 2:45, comes in for the Raiders. 3rd down coming up, 3rd and 3 at the 10. Blitz. And a beauty. Pops Adams. Comes off the edge, and they are worried about. They talked to us about it. Randy, as you know about the corner blitzes the Browns run, and there is one to perfection.
Yeah, this is the corner blitz. Adams right in the middle of your screen there, number 20. And there is nothing they can do. That is a very, very nice job coming off the edge. Everyone picks up who they're supposed to for the Raiders. You just cannot allow for the free runner coming from that quarterback's blind side.
So the Raiders stall. Now they'll have to try a field goal. This will be a 34-yarder. Janikowski hits it hard and true again. And the Raiders inch back. It's now a 10-6 game, Cleveland, with the Raiders ready to kick off. The Raiders defense a growing force in this game. Browns' last 2 possessions have been 3 and out. A total of -9 yards in those 2 possessions. Here is Janikowski's kickoff. The great Cribbs. Out to the 29-yard line. Ekajuba makes the stop. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report.
You know, Coach Cowher spent a lot of time in this AFC North, AFC Central, very familiar with the kind of demands that the weather puts on football teams. But isn't it interesting? Everybody talks about kind of smash mouth teams in this division. And You got Cincinnati that can chunk it around pretty good with Carson. You got Pittsburgh, which very much right now is just purely almost a passing team. It'll be an interesting challenge for Mike Holmgren to kind of build something in that image.
Leaving early, Tommy Kelly. We'll see if a false start drew him offside. They're going to call an offside on Kelly of the Raiders.
93 the defense. Unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Well, the start this Cleveland offense has had, especially the last couple of possessions at least, Derek Anderson can use the help if the Raiders defense wants to give him a few extra yards, because he's been inaccurate. He's had drops and he's had throws to open grass, but not a real flashy start. There was a question when you talk about these Cleveland Browns, what are they going to do in the future at quarterback? They drafted Brady Quinn a while back. Anderson was on a team that won 10 games, but do they have one? That'll be the first question Mike Holmgren has to answer.
A lot of evaluation going to go on. And now a handoff, and Harrison finds his way ahead for a first down. Let's take a look now at your cross-examination, Randy.
Well, it's pretty simple. We instead of doing the normal plays or focuses, we just went on what they're going to have to do going forward. More power on the lines, that competes in this division. More speed on the edges, that specifically is with the linebackers, and tune out the noise. And the noise would be, you know, I'm sorry to the fans and the media here locally, but what they think and what their input isn't really that important when it comes to building a football team. Too much has been made of that locally.
Harrison with his 10th carry. He has gained about up to 48 yards running now. This guy had 286 rushing last week at Kansas City, the third best total in NFL history.
And this running game got off to a heck of a start, Don. Looked like he was on his way to having a pretty good game again, but this Raider defense has kind of clamped down on that run.
They have. Raider defense really standing tall in this game. Tom Cable said he thought it was going to be a field position game, low scoring, and he said we have to win the kicking game. So far, all their points off the foot of Janikowski. Almost a late hit on Anderson.
Nice job by Kirk Morrison filling up. I mean, you got Harrison in a position where he's got a block on Shaughnessy there. Earlier in the game, it wasn't about pass blocking. It was about Harrison running. And they were just putting big gashes, if not garage door size holes in the middle of this Raider defense. And it was physical and it was tough. And Raiders have had so far a pretty good answer for the better part of the second quarter, because most of those runs came in the first.
Browns have rushed for 522 yards over the last 2 games coming into this one. Some of those yards, over 170, were against the Steelers, who at the time had the #1 run defense in the conference. Here's a throw and a catch, beautifully executed. Brian Robisky coming across the middle. First-year player from Ohio State, Eric Mangini, said Robisky's been quiet, but he thinks he's going to be tremendous. And he had a great week of practice. Unfortunately, limps off after that one.
You've had 2 young receivers kind of on 2 different kinds of learning curves, as most players will be. Mohamed Massaquoi contributed early to Eric Mangini's offense. Robisky took a little bit longer to adjust to it. And too bad, like you said, he limps off the field and heads to the bench.
Trying to get outside. Raiders aren't really big. They're quick. That's Richard Seymour running it down.
And you look at this draft, of this last draft for the Cleveland Browns, you know, Mack was a wonderful pick. Robisky, pretty light participation. Massaquoi has done some good things. Vaikun from Hawaii is one of those players down the road is going to be very good. He's had to really adjust to the pro level. But they have this next year. Mike Holmgren's going to have 11 draft picks to work with. I think that's going to be very significant to building this team.
Now a 2nd and 11 for the Browns. Long ball. Beautifully down by Cleveland.
Incomplete.
Rolling it incomplete in the process of catching the ball. He didn't have possession of it when he went down.
It was Evan Moore dealing out there. And it tells you what they think about this kid. Not just a practice player, not just a normal tight end when you're willing to spread him out and put him on the outside of your offense. And does a good job. He just doesn't control it all the way through the catch. See, he has it. He goes down, he has it, then the ball pops out. There's the definition of not having control throughout the catch.
Yeah, Thomas Howard getting back nicely to defend for the Raiders. And now it is 3rd down and 12 for the Cleveland Browns. Forward in coverage. Nothing there. And Anderson and the offense go off the field. They'll have to punt it again. Back to the Raiders. Stanford Route was covering on the play.
Well, if you're going to have to give it up, at least, you know, for them, it's not a 3 and out. And more importantly, you're putting your punter in a position where Hodges can pin the Raiders back. And we make a big deal of inside the 20 kicks for punters. I'd rather see us make a big deal out inside the 10, because that really puts you at a disadvantage.
Right now, Johnny Lee Higgins, the Raider punt returner, standing right at their 10. Ooh.
Got a flag.
Browns going to their bag of tricks as the intended receiver Hiram Eugene impeded as he ran the pattern downfield.
The flag, and I think it's going to be against the Raiders. That is gigantic if they jumped off sides.
Offside defense, number 31. 5-yard penalty. It's still 4th down.
I mean, it's not gigantic because it gives you a first down, but it's gigantic because you're not giving them the ball at the 50. Oh, man. That's too bad for the Raiders. The Raiders had a situation there where they were alert. They had dealt with it, but they jumped off sides.
Prediction, Randy, they will not be throwing on this punt attempt.
They'll be pinging him inside the 10, maybe? A little hang time?
Hodges has stepped in. And a very nice job for them as he hits a high punt. Higgins lets it bounce. Yeah, great special teams.
Guess who? Josh Cribbs.
Josh Cribbs. Show him the money.
How
What a
beautiful.
player.
Now that's special teams play, Don.
Fabulous.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by American Express. Don't take chances. Take charge. And by Lipitor.
Browns have the lead. Raiders have the ball, but they start deep in their own end after a great special teams play. Cribbs tipping it out before it hit in the end zone, and Brandon McDonald downing the ball at the 1. Michael Bush. They play fake to him and throw the ball in a well-executed play as Gary Russell coming out of the backfield gets Raiders out of jail with an 11-yard gain.
Great teamwork. Cribbs, McDonald. This is just like offensive and defensive teamwork. Cribbs is the first gunner down. He's going to stop the ball. McDonald does a very nice job. Beautiful, beautiful special teams play. And a little bit of that wasted when you let him out with a first down on the first play, Don.
Yeah, well, that was a terrific play. Raiders down by 4. They go to the run. Browns defend it well. Bush runs. Corey Williams, who's a rising player, has 4 sacks this year, makes the run stop. You know, you talk about Mike Holmgren coming in. If you want to get a recommendation for Holmgren, and you can get a lot of them, Charlie Fry might be first and foremost, the quarterback for the Raiders. He was with them in Seattle. He said in a short time under Holmgren, he learned more about quarterbacking and football than he did in his entire career, high school, college, and pro career up to then combined.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who not only knows offense, Mike Holmgren, he knows football. It's great news for these Browns fans.
Michael Bush gets a gap, gets it out to the 18-yard line. Gain of 6.
You know, and for all the spectacular, I guess, the publicity around the kind of quarterbacks that Mike Holmgren has coached and the kind of offenses he's had and those type of players, he's always had players around him that put their hands on the ground on both sides of the ball. They were very strong. His great Packer teams were like that. His Seattle teams were like that. They were real strong at the line of scrimmage. Good skill players, but he kind of tends to build things from the inside out.
Right now, let's see what the Raiders can build on a 3rd and 3 in their own end. Browns threatening blitzes. They come with 5. Terrific reception by Zach Miller. First down, Oakland.
You know, Don, and I mentioned about the quarterbacks under Holmgren. It's not a bad little array of Super Bowl experience. Of course, Steve Young, those 2 Super Bowls when Mike was there, were as the backup to Joe Montana, but he contributed an awful lot of times. And Mike had a huge role in each one of those guys' career. And if I just wanted a little bit of a resume to recommend somebody to a football team, those 4 guys wouldn't be a bad place to start.
Not a bad group. Here is a handoff to Bush. They're keying on him after the big day he had last week. Running at Denver 18 times for 133 yards. He broke a 23-yard touchdown run. Had another 40-yard run from scrimmage.
And this possession for the Raiders is already a big success. You're backed up at the 1 or inside the 1-yard line, Don, and already you're being able to bang it out for a couple of first downs. With a punter like Leckler, you're 1 down away from completely reversing the field position on the Cleveland Browns.
Let's see what they do here. 2nd and 8. And Bush breaking tackles and gaining a first down. You remember this drive started at the Oakland 1-yard line.
Oh, just a beautiful job by Bush of maintaining his feet. You want to come up and tackle either one of these halfbacks for the Raiders, Bush or McFadden, you better bring the whole package at them. Because if you come kind of half-hearted, and that last one was a little bit of half-hearted for the first tackler, you have no shot of stopping these guys.
Raiders are running the ball progressively well. Bush 8 carries today for 48 yards. Raiders as a team have 64 yards rushing.
Remember, 241 yards last week against Denver.
And now a timeout is called. Fry comes to the sideline. Wednesday on Showtime, join JB, Phil Simms, Chris Collinsworth, and Warren Sapp on the Emmy Award-winning Inside the NFL, cable's longest-running show. Inside the NFL Wednesday on Showtime. Charlie Fry, Randy wearing a famous Raider number, number 3. The Mad Bomber himself wore that number, Darryl LaMonica. Throwing the long ball to Warren Wells.
Not totally unlike these two football teams, don't you think, Don? I mean, history, tradition are wonderful things, but at times they can be a very heavy yoke to carry around. If you're not having success, all you hear about is past success. For the Raiders since 2002 in their last Super Bowl experience, not much success. That's one of the things that the swagger and the physical nature is one of the couple of the things that Tom Cable's trying to bring back to this football team.
Well, as Charlie Fry told us, he said one of the things we're very aware of, if our next win, we'll have the best win total of a Raider team since the 2002 Super Bowl team. Raiders coming in with 5 wins today, and here is a penalty marker thrown by the referee Triplett from behind the play.
That was a tackle on Chris Morris. They're going to call it hold, but it was a takedown.
Still first down.
Morris called into the lineup when Langston Walker was shaken up earlier.
Lined up there at left guard. Absolutely, and that's clearly a takedown. That's the first part. There's the second part. The guy's got to go down to make a takedown. That was David Bowens rushing as a linebacker on that blitz.
5th penalty against the Raiders, and it sets them up at 1st and 20. They're going to go over the top to Lewis Murphy before long. Fry under center. Looking down. Looking at Murphy, but not time to lock and load, and he is swept under. Matt Roth and David Bowens combined on the sack, a loss of 6.
Oh, and they wanted to go down the field. They wanted to get Johnny Lee Higgins all the way down the field at wide receiver on the left side. But Roth, who was released by the Miami Dolphins, he comes here and has been reborn. And Bowens played last year for Eric Mangini with the Jets. He's coming here, and right now he's running this defense and doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, they're really stepping up now. The Browns defenders, they forced the Raiders into a 2nd and 26. And the Browns called a timeout before the snap of the ball.
Cleveland, their second.
Rob
30-second timeout.
Defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns the previous 5 seasons. The big fella on the right was the defensive coordinator of the Raiders, so he knows the personnel in this game better than anybody.
Yeah, he does, and it's been a real creative combination of things that Rob Ryan and Eric Mangini have done. And this is not a guy that's forgotten by any stretch of the imagination. This during pregame, a lot of old friends, a lot of old faces you're catching up with, and he brings the whole thing up. There's Jamarcus Russell greeting the old defensive coordinator. I've seen in games, though, I was here for the Pittsburgh game, Don, where they had 5 linebackers and 6 defensive backs. against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was daring the Steelers to run, and all they did was pass.
Yeah, the Steeler run game has not been productive after a Super Bowl season a year ago.
Look at the look they're giving him. It's pure 3-4 with blitzes.
Go to a draw. Browns read it. Knock it down. Third down and long. Bush didn't have no gap to go to.
Getting a real nice job up front. Jason Trusnick was part of one of the trades with the New York Jets. Kind of came in here as a special teams player. Has gotten some pretty good reps for him at outside linebacker.
He had joined Cleveland in October of this year. Trusnick from Northern Ohio came into the game with 43 tackles. And Roth has been a very interesting free agent pickup. Dolphins waived him.
That's him over the center.
Matt Roth, he weighs 275. Fry gets time, makes a connection, but the Browns keep it in front of them. Lewis Murphy working hard, but still, because of the long yardage on the play, well short of the first down. A 16-yard gain on the play. So we're down to the 2-minute warning at Cleveland. The Browns by 4. Back to Cleveland. Don Criqui with Randy Cross. 1:55 to play in the first half. Leckler, the best punter in the NFL, ready to hit the ball now for the Raiders. Came in averaging 51.5 yards a punt for the season. If he can hold that average to the end, he'll have the all-time record, surpassing the great slinging Sammy Baugh, who apparently was also punting Sammy Baugh.
Got one flag during the play, one flag after the play.
One back at the line of scrimmage.
I think it was the late one was on Blake Costanzo, the special teams specialist for the Cleveland Browns, got in a little altercation.
Browns and the Raiders last played in the 07 season. That was in September at Oakland. Raiders won the game 26-24. Very different look to both teams, even in the 2 seasons since then. Personal foul.
Oh, both holding. A holding during the play against Cleveland and a personal foul after the play against Cleveland.
Brad Seeley, not a warm and fuzzy words for Costanzo.
No, you've got to play smart. I don't care what you get goaded into in this game. You play certain teams, you know you're going to get people coming after you and trying to see if they can affect you and make you do something you shouldn't. That definitely goes in that category.
Eric Mangini, his Browns.
There are 2 fouls on the play. There are 2 fouls. Out of bounds, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 54 of the receiving team. That penalty is going to be declined. During the kick, holding, number 59 of the receiving team. That penalty will be accepted 10 yards from the end of the kick. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report. So the Browns are set way back now. And I have to harken back to what Cable said, Randy, about it's going to be a field position game, and we can win this game if we win the kicking game.
Well, wonderful job. That Oakland Raiders defense banged that ball out. Remember Joshua Cribbs and Brandon McDonald? That was last possession. They pinned the Raiders all the way down there inside the 1. Raiders offense moves it out. Then with a little help from the special teams of the Cleveland Browns, this one gets banged back. Now suddenly you're looking at a situation with 1 minute and 46 seconds. You better be ultra careful if you're Eric Mangini's offense. You can give up some really quick points backed up like this.
Well, look what happened at the outset. First throw of the day by the Raiders, intercepted by the Browns, and soon after the Raiders were down 7-0 after the touchdown run by Harrison. Very dangerous time to be in your own end. And the Browns with 4 points in winnings at this point with 1:40 to go. Now the Raiders call a timeout.
That leaves them with just one. Both teams have 1 timeout.
Saturday, it is 2 scoops of hoop when Gonzaga tackles the Fighting Illini or Arizona battles UCLA. Then it's a cross-state clash as Rick Pitino's Louisville Cardinals meet John Calipari's Kentucky Wildcats here on the exclusive home of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship CBS Sports.
I'm not used to seeing my Bruins on a graphic anywhere relating to basketball where there's not a single-digit ranking next to them.
They'll be good. They'll be good by the end.
By the end, they'll be good.
I tell you, that guy can coach.
It's been a rough start for Ben Holland and his basketball team.
Right now, the rough start of the Raiders. The only touchdown of this game came after that early interception run 2 plays later. Now the Raiders with a second down coming up. 2nd and 6 at the 11 for the Browns. And 1:40 on the first half clock. Anderson hands off to Harrison. And not a lot going on in the middle of that Raider defense. Tough to move on.
Alex Mack and Gerard Warren getting into it back there. Triplett's got to break it up. Bottom line, though, is that was very nice defense by the Oakland Raiders. They tried to run a little power play inside, using the tight end Michael Gaines as a lead back, as a fullback. You had some swings involved. There were some punches thrown. Guess you could say I was defending myself and or knocking his arm away, but it looked like a punch to me.
Well, whatever's fair. Gerard Warren comes to the sideline.
We'll see what it looked like to Jeff Triplett.
After the play is over, dead ball. That's sportsmanlike conduct. Number 55, the offense. Half the distance to the goal. It'll be 3rd down.
You've got to keep your composure. There's no other way to put it. There's no excuse at the time. I'm sure you got an explanation if you're Mr. Mack, but explain that to Eric Mangini. You're backing up. You're in full reverse offensively.
Mack, overall, though, this season, very good grades. As a rookie center, a #1 draft choice of the Browns. Picked 21st in the 1st round. Former Cal Bear.
He's done a heck of a job as a rookie running that offensive line and the blocking schemes and everything else, but he lost his head there.
He also won the academic Heisman. Now a draw play. There's Harrison. Turning outside, working the sideline. 1st down for the Browns with 1:30 to go in the half.
There's a cure. That's a cure for making a couple of dumb plays. Get some good blocks, get a 17-yard run, bang it out, and get yourself a 1st down. That's beautiful example of getting past the 1st level. By the time you get to the 2nd level, if you're Harrison, you're in the air with nothing but grass around you.
So far, Harrison, Randy, 14 carries for 68 yards. A very good first half. But after a game for the ages a week ago, it doesn't seem like that much when he ran 286 yards last week. Now the handoff and the carry is only to the 24-yard line, a gain of a yard. Here's another penalty marker. Boys are losing their decorum out there. Now there's a big penalty. Somebody just pushed the Browns quarterback. Another penalty marker.
Well, Derek Anderson grabbed Stanford Routt and pulled him off a pile, and Routt just turned around and gave him a slam for it. You got to have, you've got to have your head about you. I don't care what, there is no excuse for this. Either way. A lot of frustration pent up after this many weeks when you lose this much.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, they're all blaming each other. A lot of finger pointing out there with 1:22 to go in the first half.
Hey, remember, there's a minute and 22 seconds left here. Both teams still have a timeout. Scoring is not out of the question. If you're Eric Steinbach and you're this offense, you know, the first one was against Mack. I think the second one, at least the beginning of it, it's against Eric Steinbach.
A lot of arithmetic to be figured out, Randy, in that official confab there. Still one penalty marker still on the field.
Well, ultimately, for all those exercises, the early flag, the late flag exercise.
We're going to find out right now. Jeff Triplett says
there are 2 fouls on the play. After the play is over and on to Powell, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 92 of the defense.
Richard Seymour of the Raiders.
Then in the scuffle, number 70 of Cleveland, personal foul, unnecessary roughness.
Rex
Those
Hadnot.
penalties were offset.
There you go, Randy.
Second down.
Oh, yeah.
What you do about nothing?
Yeah, see, it was Steinbach 65's in the middle of it. Hadnot's in the middle of it. Bodies start falling on the ground. Second one really occurred. That's just silly.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 92 defense. 15 yards. It'll be second down.
Obviously, Richard Seymour was giving his critique of the call, and it wasn't appreciated.
Five-time Pro Bowler Richard Seymour, all those Pro Bowls with the Patriots.
And the bottom line with this, if you're hurting nobody but yourself. You hurt your football team, you hurt your field position. Plenty of time now for this Cleveland offense to take advantage of what Richard Seymour's given them. And if he keeps giving the officials the business, he'll keep getting the yellow flags too.
There's been 5 personal fouls signaled in the last 2 minutes of this game. Now a key player for the Browns, Lawrence Vickers, who blocked so well last week, leading the way for Harrison. He's got a hip bruise and his return is questionable. It's a good looking throw and catch. Massaquoi gets the ball across midfield. A 14-yard gain for the Browns, and still 1:10 to play in the half. Clock running.
A little better pace now to this no huddle. I guess the sense of urgency time-wise gives it a different look. Very nice catch by Massaquoi. Ball was thrown a little low by Anderson. That's called getting it put in your general area and coming up with the catch.
Harrison. Big league open field tackling by Mike Mitchell, a rookie from Ohio University.
There's another. 2 more flags. It's going to be against the Raiders, I think.
They've got a timeout left. They ought to call a timeout and just settle this down.
There'll be a lot of stationery sent to a lot of people in this football game by the league office next week. Just in time for your going away present for the year. You'll get a nice little fine letter.
Is that how they tell you?
Usually.
Personalized letter?
Usually get a little letter. Yeah. Nice league stationery. It's nice. It's nice. See, now Jeff Triplett's going to head to the sideline, and I think in general you've got to ask both these coaches, hey, look, what do you say you calm these guys down?
I tell you, it's been fun so far. It's going to be quite a second half.
At what point do you throw somebody out of the game, though, if it keeps happening?
Well, that's another thing, an issue that has to be considered here.
After the play is over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 26 of Oakland.
There was a Stanford route.
Unnecessary headbutt. It is so flagrant, he is ejected from the game.
There you are.
I guess that would be the limit.
Stanford route, headbutt, he's out.
Route was.
They're going to be first and goal if this keeps up.
He was working against Chancey Stuckey, 88, the wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. And as the play ended, there was the headbutt. And as Jeff Triplett so accurately described, it was so flagrant, they had no choice but to throw Stanford Route out of this football game and send him to the showers early.
And now with the 45 seconds on the second quarter clock remaining, the Browns are all the way down to the 27-yard line of the Raiders with a first down. Aaron throw. Boy, the Raiders are going to tell you, Richard Seymour. He's just split a double team and got a shot in. Richard Seymour, he's some 6'6", 310, and he's got a first step like a cornerback.
Yeah, I mean, you're big, you're bad, you're tough, but you're about to give up points. And it's nobody's fault but yourself because you couldn't keep your composure. It's absolutely stupid. There's no excuse for this. This is going to cost your team points.
Well, they're without question in field goal range now, but still 43 seconds to work with. Draw play, and Harrison tripped up. He almost broke at the distance.
He actually tripped over the back of Mac's legs, I think. He didn't even trip, I don't believe, on an Oakland defender.
Game clock running.
Plenty of time, no reason to hurry too much. You still have a timeout too.
3rd and 2, yep, they still have a timeout. Timing throw to the end zone, Massaquoi! Touchdown, Cleveland Browns. So the Raiders lose their composure. The Browns take advantage of all the penalty yards and then strike on a 19-yard touchdown throw.
Tell you, Massaquoi got away with a little bit of
Throw of the day. He's 5 of 12 throwing the ball for 66 yards and a touchdown. Extra point is good. And the Browns extend now to a 17-6 lead.
Give you a good look at the protect.
Advance the Browns all the way down to striking distance, and then they hit it. Now they squid downfield. And Sam Williams takes it out to about the 43-yard line of the Raiders. The AFC playoff picture at the start of this day, as they were saying on the pregame show, only 2 teams had officially qualified. Indianapolis.
They needed 3 teams to lose, and they had to beat Dallas, and
Exactly.
It all happened.
Yep. Let's see what Charlie Fry does now. 13 seconds left. He stands in, goes in the flat. Ball is caught. Miller gets out of bounds with 6 seconds left. Mike Adams defending on the play. So Zach Miller now with 5 catches for the day, first half.
It's worth mentioning, you know, if you get a quick completion, like a 3-4 second completion, we're talking about 10, 12, 15 yards down the field. You've got a kicker in Sebastian Janikowski that's got legs enough for 2 teams. He's got some serious range.
He's got a long of 57.
You can do this. You can get enough.
Janikowski.
You have a timeout too.
Out of bounds with the catch. Darren McFadden with his 18th catch of the year.
Still a second on the clock. Perfect position. Very nice job. Good execution by Charlie Fry.
Here comes Janikowski.
It's going to be about a 61-yarder. If you're a Cleveland Brown fan, though,
61-yarder.
don't laugh. If you're a Brown fan, hold your breath. This guy could do this.
Hits the ball hard. It's good. They did it. Janikowski hitting a 61-yard field goal at the end of the first half.
Wow, good composure by the Raiders offense. Your defense puts you in a hole. Do what you need to do. Set up the strongest leg in the NFL. 61 and a half, it wouldn't have been good. It was just barely over the bar. Watch this drop over the upright. Right over the top. Bang.
All right. We'll be going to James Banner, New York with a Sprint halftime report. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl. Randy Cross. Just before halftime, if you were with us, Sebastian Janikowski booming a 61-yarder. And that picked up the Raiders coming off the field, but what didn't pick them up was those time after time personal foul penalties.
Well, the story of the first half was really going to be that one drive with 30 yards of penalties against the Raiders defense on that 93-yard touchdown by the Cleveland Browns. But Charlie Fry gets the ball back, uses time perfectly, and sets up Sebastian Janikowski for that, a 61-yard bomb. I warned him. I mean, this is cold weather. This is at sea level, and that's one of the strongest kicks I've ever seen.
Coach Mangini didn't take it well, though.
No, he didn't. No, and he shouldn't take it very well, as Tom Cable shouldn't take the performance of his defense at the end there very well. But you look at the penalties and whatnot. One thing that really stands out is Harrison, 17 carries for over 80 yards. He's back on pace to have another 34 carry game.
This game is brought to you in stunning high definition. And now The Browns will get the ball to open the third quarter of play. Raiders ready to kick off. Raiders still without a touchdown, but in the game on 3 Janikowski field goals.
Well, coming into the game, the Raiders had made it very pointed to point out they were going to kick to Josh Cribbs. They haven't, and that's a pretty good idea.
They're not going to do it again. They do a little looper down to the 18-yard line. And the Browns break it.
Jerome Harrison.
And he's across the 45-yard line of the Raiders, and the Browns will start at the Oakland 43-yard line. 39-yard return.
Remember last time they pooched it to him, Don, it was really short, and Harrison had to fall on the ball and knock the wind out of himself. That one is perfect. Good timing. You know, it is all timing with those blocks, and you don't have to be 40 yards away from them to hit the timing right. If you're Harrison like that, you're only 10 yards away. The timing's even better. It's almost like a little trap block.
And that's when we were talking to Cribbs about the return. That's exactly what he said. It's the timing with the blockers. They can only hold it for a split second. When you see it, you have to hit the gap. Well, that time Harrison did it, and now he runs the ball straight at the Raiders and down to the 39-yard line. You look at how the Browns did on their first half possessions. That early touchdown following the interception of Fry.
And really the blip is right there in the middle with that -8, -1. We talked about those 2 punts and the -9 yards offensively. Otherwise, a lot of Harrison and Anderson taking advantage of this defense a little bit when they weren't taking advantage of themselves.
30 yards in that final touchdown drive late in the second quarter by the Browns came on personal foul calls against the Raiders. Gerard Rowan makes the stop.
Well, Raider defense is just ripping at that ball too. Jerome Harrison does a very nice job of holding on to that, because Warren and company is doing everything they can to try to see if they can't get the ball loose, because that's exactly what Richard Seymour and this defense needs. Is they need a turnover.
Harrison now up to 87 yards rushing on 10 carries for the Browns, including his 17-yard touchdown run that opened the scoring today. The Wildcat. Cribbs. Almost a distance. Kirk Morrison got him an ankle-high tackle, but it's still a 17-yard gain for the Browns.
Well, they get in this flash formation with Cribbs at quarterback. Just watch how spread out. See how spread out that Oakland Raider defense is? Cribbs does a nice job. That was a counter. Usually you see the halfback behind the quarterback. He takes that jab step to counter. Cribbs was his own halfback, took that jab step. The defense reacted. He went backside.
Cribbs is a 7-yard per carry runner with almost 45 runs this season from the Wildcat. Trevor Scott makes the stop for the Raiders. Ball down to the 20-yard line of the Raiders. Second down comes up. Second down in about 9.
Nothing real complicated here, Don. You're going to take your shots. You've got Massaquoi is going to be at the bottom of the screen. Here they are in the flash formation again by Cribbs. Remember, he did play quarterback. He can throw the ball.
Did Kenny Ever. He threw 38 touchdown passes at Kent State and ran for 55. Eric Mangini says he has rare toughness and unusual strength. He's 6'1", 215. We talked to him about being, here's a guy that scored almost 100 touchdowns in college and didn't get drafted. We asked him if he was highly recruited out of high school in Dunbar and Washington. He said no. He said Maryland offered me and I didn't get back to him fast enough. They pulled it. He said we played St. Ignatius in Cleveland, Dunbar did, and we practiced at Kent State. And right after the practice, the head coach came over and said, you got a scholarship if you'd like to come.
And he's a rare professional athlete, Don, that's underpaid.
Yes, he is.
Can't say that about very many.
And a tremendous contributor in the greater Cleveland community to so many charities. Harrison, Raiders defend that pretty well on third down. The Browns do not get yards, and the field goal unit comes out for Cleveland.
And one thing that Josh Cribbs did, he told us about that wasn't publicized. They collected around $45,000, he and some teammates, and they just went out and handed it out. Didn't want publicity for it, just wanted to go out into the community and give it to some of the folks that they thought they could really use it. Just loves it. He's a guy that figures in this town he's got to do these kind of things.
And Mangini said he's basically just a good person who cares about the team and winning more than anything else. And now the field goal on the way and good. So Dawson strikes, and the Browns build their lead now to a commanding 20-9. The Browns' first possession of the third quarter results in a field goal. And now a 20-9 lead over the Raiders. Randy, the Raiders need a touchdown. You have to start wondering when they're going to try putting the ball downfield and throwing it. Spinning kick. Marcel Reese. He's to the 22-yard line, and that's where the Raiders will start, down by 11. That's Charlie Frye and the offense come back out.
CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on. Miller Lite. Triple hops brewed for that great Pilsner taste. Taste greatness. And by Burger King, who remind you to have it your way.
Raiders offense today, you see Frye with 98 yards passing, intercepted once. That was on his first throw of the day, and soon after the Browns had a 7-0 lead. Bush 50 yards, not much going on. Frye with a pitch. McFadden tries to go wide, and the penalty marker's thrown in by the umpire, often indicating offensive holding.
It's going to be holding. I think it's going to be against Morris again on the backside guard.
Frye completed his last 6 passes of the first half. Last week the Browns got ripped by Matt Castle passing the ball through for 351.
51 to the offense. The penalty has been declined. Second down.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, a high-ranking veteran of the CIA warns of new attacks by Al-Qaeda here in the United States, plus the most dangerous sport in the world. Tonight on 60 Minutes. The line of scrimmage just across the Raider 21-yard line.
Eric Pears comes into the game, 72, extra tackle. Bottom of the screen, lined up at tight end. Last week, this is a power formation with Miller at one tight end, Pears at the other. Pure run.
Here's that corner blitz. Nicely done by Frye, and heading downfield for a first down and about 22 yards in total is McFadden. A 23-yard game where they spot the ball.
This is all Charlie Frye. They're bringing the blitz on the backside with the blitz by McDonald. They're bringing the blitz on the onside. Pears is the tight end. He doesn't pick up the blitz. He sort of releases them on Frye. Frye, composure, does a great job getting that ball to McFadden.
Browns, we mentioned, gave up 350 yards passing to the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs had 5 drops. It might have been 450. The Browns didn't win the game as Michael Bush runs. Short gain. You got to think, Randy, the Raiders are going to try something over the top. The 2nd and 8 coming up.
Well, they haven't gone downfield since Frye overthrew Schillens at one time, Don, early in the game. They had him open.
McFadden is the deep back in the I formation, and he motions right.
Johnny Lee Higgins just does his imitation of a defensive back knocking down a pass.
Hit him in a bad place, square in the hands.
Well, his hands look just like, you remember when you were a kid, you had science project and they gave you those 2 batteries, the positives, and they repelled each other?
Right.
Well, the ball is one battery and his hands were the other battery, and they repelled. They pushed back and away. So you look down and go, what, are you betraying me?
Third down and 8 for the Raiders. Still without a touchdown today, but still in the game. Frye is level.
That ball didn't get to the line of scrimmage.
That was 275-pound Matt Roth.
He was inside the tackle box, I think. And it didn't get to the line of scrimmage. Wow. Good pressure by Roth.
Intentional grounding.
Exactly.
That's what it is, Randy.
Number
Yep.
3 of the offense. He did not get the ball back to the line of scrimmage, even though he was out of the pocket.
Fry was knocked out of the game last week at Denver by a blitzer. And Jamarcus Russell came in and won the game.
Yeah, remember,
It'll be fourth down.
that's a loss of down foul, too. So you bring the punt team in there. That's kind of a double dip on that one.
And the punt return team headlined by the best, pretty close to ever, Josh Cribbs. He's standing back now at the 18-yard line of the Browns.
I'll tell you, Tom Cable and his offense have to get to the sideline, get over there by a dry erase board and figure out this protection scheme, because they can't keep turning people loose on Charlie Fry like this. That's ridiculous.
Leckler booms one, directional punt to the far side. And it's out of bounds at the 27-yard line of the Browns, and there Cleveland will start 1st and 10 with a 20-9 lead. Coming next, Brandon Marshall and the Broncos battle McNabb and the Eagles, or the Jets try to upend Peyton Manning and the unbeaten Colts. Check local listings.
Well, that's 2 good ones right there. Can't wait to see how Rex Ryan's defense fares against that Colts offense, or how long Manning plays for that matter.
In the past, his defenses with other teams have not fared well against Manning. The AFC playoff picture. Only 2 teams securing spots coming into today's games. Colts, of course, and the Chargers, who are on a 10-game win streak.
And Denver's in a bit of a struggle, losing last week to the Raiders. They'd feel a whole lot different about life in the playoff picture if they were 9-5 instead of 8-6. There's a little contact was made.
William Joseph of the Raiders jumped into the neutral zone.
He just not much. He just sort of brushed up against Mack.
Raiders with 8 penalties today for 77 yards. Browns with 3 for 28 yards.
And so far, this Cleveland Brown football team has made no bones about getting that running game with Jerome Harrison going. They've run the ball 26 times to just 14 passes.
And Harrison's run it to 21 times for 89 yards in the 17-yard touchdown run that opened the scoring today. You know, Randy, the really high praise from the left tackle. Said he never was bitter or hung his head being the backup for all those weeks. This is his 6th start, Anderson. He was 1-4 before Brady Quinn took
Neutral
over.
zone infraction. Defense, number 94.
It's Joseph.
5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
And for all the enthusiasm around this Cleveland Browns team winning some of these games, remember we did a game earlier this year where Derek Anderson completed 2 passes and they won a football game. They've had several games when they beat Pittsburgh. Brady Quinn wasn't terribly effective in that second half. They haven't gotten consistent play out of that position at all.
Let's see what they go to now on 2nd down and 4. There's the long ball. Almost picked off by Chris Johnson. The target was Chancey Stuckey.
Yeah, great job by Chancey Stuckey of turning into defensive back, Don. You like the way he comes back?
Yes.
You see, you hear the term, you heard the team term back shoulder. Well, Derek Anderson threw this on the defensive back's back shoulder. And Chancey Stuckey comes back through. Watch his right arm. Bang. He's not trying to catch that. He's just trying to make sure the defensive back's got no shot at catching it. Chris Johnson gets stripped.
Browns coming into this having won 2 games in a row. It's been 24 games since they've done that. They start today at 3-11. The Raiders 5-9. Beautiful connection, tremendous reception by Massaquoi, who's inside the Raider 40 and down to the 39-yard line. A hands catch. He just ripped it out of midair. Massaquoi for a 28-yard gain with the run.
Watch him put his arms back and snatch this thing out of the air. It's behind him. It's almost right into the arms of Chris Johnson. Beautiful job by Massaquoi coming back and snatching that thing right out of the air. That is just perfect. And remember, that is a rookie. There's a cog to the puzzle, a cog to the machine that Mike Holmgren can build on. Cribbs at quarterback.
The Wildcat, and Cribbs is defended well. As coming up to make the stop was the middle backer Kirk Morrison. Thomas Howard also comes up to hem him in, and it will be 2nd down and 10.
It seems with that formation, the more decisive the runs are, the more successful they are. When they ran against the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier this month, it was very successful and it was very decisive, quick, slanting type runs. When you take that long for that run to hit, it gives the defense too long to adjust to it.
And a guy that doesn't get much work out there is Asamoah. They don't want to go throw over towards him. They don't even look that way. Throwing catch there down the middle. Michael Gaines, who was, you remember, shaken up in the first half, went to the locker room. He comes back and now is on the catch and run of a 25-yard gainer.
Michael Gaines lines up at tight end, runs out, and then cuts it right across the safety's face. Oh, just a beautiful job working against Tyvon Branch. Watch Gaines now cut across the face. There you go. A little separation, a little acceleration. It's a nice move by a tight end.
In the corner. And into the end zone for a 2nd time today.
Penalty flag down. Late flag. I think it's going to be against Gaines. Little hold or push. How about that little direct snap? You see Cribbs running, sprinting in the other direction. The Raider defense got fooled.
Yeah, you have to respect Cribbs and stay with him.
Block in the back. Number 86.
It is Gaines.
10-yard penalty. It'll still be 1st down.
Calls against Branch. He lines up at the left. See, Cribbs takes the snap. He hands it back. Right there. There's the block by Gaines. With the grab and then the push in the back, working against Asamoah.
Definitely, no question.
What a creative play, though. Quick snap there to Cribbs. You run everybody in one direction and kind of half. Wasn't a fumble rooski, but it was a sleight of hand handoff to Harrison.
So instead of a touchdown, play comes back on a penalty against the Browns. It's 1st and 12. Harrison runs it down to the 6.
Oh, is that a nice job? Watch the crease open up in the middle of this Raider defense right there. Just follow right through that alley. That's a beautiful job inside, blocking by Joe Thomas, getting out in front of Harrison.
Joe Thomas, in his 3rd year from Wisconsin, has already been to 2 Pro Bowls. Into traffic. Jerome Harrison gets a little bit. He's down inside the 5, though, and close to a 1st down. Appears to be just short of it.
Yeah, he's going to be about a football short. He's going to set up third and sneak area.
The Raider problem this year has been run defense. They rated 28th in the league in run defense, averaging the opponent averaging 4.5 yards a carry on the rush, although they held the Broncos last week to 2.9 a carry. Anderson under center. Ball on the field. Raiders had it. Try to stop, and Raiders take over.
Greg Ellis recovered that fumble.
He's been important for the Raiders. 11 years at Dallas Cowboys. 1st year with the Raiders. And then with 7 sacks. This is huge.
Yeah, he takes advantage of the beautiful job in filling and sticking a helmet right on the ball by Thomas Howard, 53, the linebacker. Beautiful job. Inside linebackers, both of them.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. We understand your business could use a Dick Butkus pep talk. And by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
A long trip, 67 yards by the Browns to no avail as the fumble by the Browns and the Raiders take over. Here's a downfield throw and a connection out to the 26-yard line to Chaz Schillens. 2nd-year receiver from San Diego State.
In one of the few instances the Cleveland Browns do not blitz. They drop back in a zone. And a beautiful job of Charlie Fry delivering that ball right in the hole of the zone. And Rob Ryan's defense.
Chillins was a top baseball prospect, a center fielder, drafted by the Tigers, but he likes football better. And now it's first down after that 20-yard gain. McFadden.
Yeah, we talked about early on that this Raider defense was running the ball pretty effectively, but man, when they get in these obvious situations, they have brought the blitz. They're blitzing corners like Adams, linebackers, defensive ends like Raw. And Rob Ryan's bringing them from all over the map, and then just when you expect him to bring 6-7 guys, he's rushing 3 and dropping 8.
Born to send blitzers, son of Buddy Ryan of Chicago Bear fame. Straight ahead power run, not much going on from McFadden right at the Browns defense. Browns only 6 interceptions this season. They had a big one today on the first pass of the day. Now 3rd and 4 for the Oakland Raiders. Down to 3:13 to play in the 3rd quarter, and the Browns with a 20-9 lead. Led at the half 17-9 over the Raiders.
5 linebackers, 6 defensive backs. You got to run at this defense.
Pitchers again, tip ball. Incomplete. Yeah, this is a well-schooled Brown defense. It looks, Randy, like there's like 14 guys out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of that same kind of look that they gave the Steelers in passing situations. You bring Bowens in there, it looks like you have defensive linemen. These are outside linebackers, inside linebackers, lined up as defensive linemen. A couple of them didn't have their hand on the ground.
That ball was tipped by David Bowens, inside linebacker, and now the Raiders have to punt. Booms it. Cribbs from the 26. And the Raiders coverage is right there. 42-yard punt, just a 4-yard return, tackled by Jonathan Holland. Don Criqui with Randy Cross back at Cleveland, Ohio. Browns looking for a 3rd straight win this season, leading the Raiders by a 20-9 score. Eric Anderson, who's been out of the starting lineup for a long time, coming back today, managing the game well.
Shifting back into the power I. Start with the spread.
Harrison gets about 4, maybe 5. He's out to the 35-yard line. Harrison coming off the 3rd best individual rushing performance in a single game, 3rd best in NFL history. In the Browns' 41-34 win over the Chiefs at Kansas City. 26 carries a day for 112 yards for Harrison.
And Don Hank Fraley's into the game, working at right guard for Rex Hadnot right now.
They're going right at him. Harrison again. Thrilled to get all this work. We recall vividly, don't we, Randy, of being at Detroit, that shootout between the Browns and the Lions, and Harrison was a healthy scratch. Wasn't even up for the game.
There's Fraley. Watch him come around, and Harrison just runs right up behind him. Good coordination. You've got a down with a pull around and a nice block by Joe Thomas, C73, the tackle, where you get that, you free up a guard center like Fraley inside, then you free up a tackle like Thomas. You're going to give up some yards.
They've been giving them up, and they're going right back to what's working if they get. Most importantly for them at this point, probably keeping that clock ticking down to 1:24 to play in the 3rd quarter. Here's the Browns' offensive standouts. Workmanlike day. Harrison with a more than workmanlike.
Only 120 yards.
Yeah.
You can be disappointed when you have 286. You can look at 120 and go, it's kind of incomplete.
He's going to get a lot more today because he's going to keep feeding him the ball. Harrison gets a couple, and the clock is down to 50 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. Still a long way to go in this game, but the Raiders are going to have to hit downfield passes to win it.
Now this down is a perfect example of Don't confuse no huddle with hurry up. You know, they're not huddling, but they're far from hurrying up. They're using the clock. They're just not going back into the huddle. Derek Anderson doing a nice pacing job right now, letting this play clock go down as far as possible. Now it's under 10 seconds.
Game clock down to 16 seconds. 6'6", Derek Anderson. Cox looking deep. Underneath he goes, and that'll do it for 3/4 of play. And the Browns will have to punt when we open the 4th quarter. Browns lead it. We'll return to Cleveland after this word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 44. That was My Generation by The Who, and they'll be performing live at halftime of Super Bowl 44, February 7th on CBS. We open the 4th quarter with the Browns punt. Hodges hits it downfield. Fair catch by the Raiders at their 20. Johnny Lee Higgins. So now the Raiders, they need offense. Down by 11 as we start the 4th quarter of play. Welcome back to Cleveland Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio. The Browns looking to extend to a 3-game winning streak. Raiders now, they're going to have to come out of that run game and start throwing the ball down by 11. Opening play from scrimmage in the 4th quarter. There's one downfield ball. Receivers there, and it's right on time. Beautifully executed to Johnny Lee Higgins.
That's a nice job working against Eric Wright. Johnny Lee Higgins, he bites a little bit, 33 yards down the field. Just a perfect catch. Nice anticipation by Charlie Frye, dropping that thing right over the top of the best cover corner that Cleveland has to offer in Eric Wright.
Charlie Frye is a collegiate at Akron. He threw 64 touchdown passes. He's from Willard, Ohio, about 2 hours southwest of Cleveland.
Plenty of time left here, Don. They don't have to go all pass, though. They can be patient.
Well, you can do that. That's a nice looking run play. A gain of 8 yards on the play. But a big part of this game has been the Cleveland Browns defense. They've held the Raiders now to 11 first downs, barely over 200 yards total offense. Browns looking good down the stretch of the season.
Absolutely, and they're running in this Raider team. And remember the Tom Cable theme. Don't give up. Don't stop. Don't ever give up. This team won't stop. They won't give up. They're going to hang in this till the end.
Third down coming up, 2nd down and 2 coming up, just inside the Browns 40-yard line.
Remember, you're 2 scores down, Don, at this point. 11 points. Janikowski, you're still, well, you're basically in his range after he made a 61-yarder. Then you're a touchdown and a 2-point conversion away.
Here's Frye. Checks down to a running back. And knocked out of bounds is Gary Russell. He'll be out of bounds at about the 36-yard line of the Browns.
That'll move the sticks, and you know what that really does, Don, is it puts Rob Ryan and this Cleveland Brown defense in a little bit of a quandary with the ball moving the way it is. You know that Janikowski's got the range he does. You know the Raiders have the running game they have. You've got to be apprehensive about attacking and blitzing in this situation because you know Charlie Frye won't hesitate. Schillens at the top of the screen. He will put the ball down the field on you.
Yeah, because touchdowns beat field goals. It happens every time, and all the Raiders have are field goals. Here's a good-looking throw and a nice catch. Diving for the ball, coming into the underneath the tackler is Darren McFadden, an 11-yard gain.
Beautiful job. We've seen McFadden all over the field from a receiver standpoint, all the way out as a wide receiver. Action starts the other way. McFadden, look at everything flying, almost like the ball went flying. There's turf and dirt clods, and all kinds of stuff going up in the air. McFadden does a nice job of controlling that ball all the way through the catch.
What did you come to expect? A good play from McFadden. He was the 4th player picked in the entire draft when he came out of Arkansas. Here is a big sack. Matt Roth. How could the Miami Dolphins have waived this guy? He has been absolutely a terror since he joined the Browns.
Well, if you're going to put a Gary Russell at fullback, man on man against Matt Roth, you better be ready to step up. Here comes the running back 22, Roth, and Roth just runs right through him.
Maybe Roth might like cold weather better, Randy. He's from Iowa.
Yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot more impressive, Matt, when you don't have that long T-shirt on when you start flexing. You might want to take that into consideration.
Hey, you talk about a big backer, 6'4", 275.
He had some issues in Miami. I don't think he got along that well with the coaching staff, obviously.
Getting along just fine here. Now Zach Miller gets the ball down inside the 15 or the 25-yard line to the 24 and 11-yard gain on the play. So the Browns trying to keep it in front of them apparently, and they're giving up the short stuff.
Well, they've come with some different styles of defense. That last time they had two defensive linemen in the game was all. Now you've basically got two defensive linemen, one defensive lineman inside. The only D lineman on the field is Corey Williams. He's over the center. Then you have linebackers outside of him.
Here's a throwing down now. Randy for Charlie Fry. 3rd down and 9. Blitzers are coming. They pick it up. Downfield throw. Picked off, and this could go. All the way across midfield. Brandon McDonald, who's had his troubles in coverage in the recent weeks, didn't start today. But he comes up with something huge.
Well, they're trying to get the ball to Johnny Lee Higgins, working against Brandon McDonald. And he breaks on the ball. McDonald breaks on the ball. Higgins doesn't come back to it. That's the formula for a turnover and an INT. Bull.
Brandon McDonald with a big play for the Browns, an interception and a 39-yard return.
You know, our line judge, Mike Spanier, caught a heck of a shot. Watch right here, right there, bang, right under the chin. Michael Bush comes in and plants one on him. He's up and he's all right, though.
He's a gamer, back in there. Now the Browns ready to run the ball on 1st down with Jerome Harrison. And to get it, there is Harrison getting low. Down to the 43-yard line of the Raiders. Trevor Scott with a tackle.
There's Johnny Lee Higgins. There's Brandon McDonald. Watch the amount of space that he's getting on this side. Actually, it's basically this whole left side outside of the hash. Ball floats. It's a little bit late. You can see Higgins is almost waiting on the ball instead of coming back at it. McDonald does not hesitate a second. That's a beautiful job by McDonald. And Higgins didn't do anything for his quarterback.
Day of redemption for McDonald. You remember that tremendous play he had at the goal line on a tip ball by Krebsy, and then McDonald tiptoed the goal line and downed it at the 1. Thought the NFL fantasy football season was over. Well, it's not. Sign up for NFL.com playoff challenge today. Only at NFL.com/fantasy. McDonald from the University of Memphis. Lost his starting job today, but has come back big time. Now on 3rd down.
Here comes a blitz look by the Raiders, Don. They're showing a lot of blitz here.
And they're coming. Timing throw. Massaquoi. He's fouled. Chris Johnson, a blatant foul.
Well, it's a little bit of it. It's like the old thing about it. You always catch the second guy punching. The first guy never gets shot, never gets caught. Well, I don't think Chris Johnson was the only one shoving. He was just the last one shoving.
Pass interference, number 37 in the defense. Ball placed in the spot of the foul. 1st down.
All right, watch the contact. Body contact, hands contact. We're past 5. See, you got that left arm that Massaquoi gets on Johnson. And the reciprocating push and hold by Johnson was the one that was flagged. Over 100 yards now, a 10 for 100 for the Raiders.
Wow. A losing number. Back to Harrison all day long. Not gashing the big runs as he did a week ago, but he's been consistent. Morrison on the stop. Harrison up to 32 carries. He likes the work. Last week he ran it 34 times.
I tell you, put yourself in Chris Johnson's situation too, Don. If you think about it, you've seen a lot of great corners in this league. So much respect for Asamoah. Everybody goes after Johnson on the other side. He gets manned up a lot. He's got to be physical. He has no choice. He can't just sit off and take it and figure he'll react to the receiver. He has to challenge him. And it's manned up at the bottom of the screen right here as it is. There he is right there. That's Johnson.
On second down, Anderson in his wisdom throws it away. Nobody open.
How about that, though? Don't you love this? 301. And then suddenly last week, 286.
Amazing what happens when you give a guy the ball 30+ times.
Well, he had 3 touchdowns last week. He had 1 touchdown the rest of his career coming into that game last week.
When we talked to him, Randy, remember he didn't seem that overwhelmed by what he did. He said he had all those 200+ yard games for Washington State.
Oh, yeah. He kind of rubbed it in, mentioning that it was against my Bruins.
Here now is Harrison again. Boy, he gets low and he changes direction with the best. And he's down to the 16-yard line as the Browns have methodically taken total control of this game. Randy, when does it just click for a guy like this? We saw him, about a month ago, and he was a healthy scratch. They didn't even dress him for the game against the Lions.
Well, it seems to be like that with running backs. I give a lot of the credit to this Browns offensive line the last 2 weeks. They've really blocked it extremely well. But not everyone takes full advantage of the opportunities they're given. Look at what Charlie Fye. He didn't take advantage of his opportunity when he was here in Cleveland. He's having a pretty good game for the Raiders. Trying to get the Raiders to jump off there. Look at the blitz coming. Inside. Yep. They were attempting to draw him off, Don.
And the Browns signal a timeout before the play clock runs out with 8:35 to play in the game. And the Browns with a 20-9 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Orbitz. Visit Orbitz.com today and save. And by Subway Restaurants, home of the famous $5 footlong.
And we're back to live action as Phil Dawson ready for his 3rd field goal try for the day. He's hit his first 2. Looking to tack on more. 34-yard field goal attempt with ease. And the Browns build a 23-9 advantage. Mike Holmgren is coming in as president of the team this week. He's got to see a lot of things today he likes, Randy.
Oh, absolutely. But he will evaluate. He's a man that's got, the better part of next week and then a good wise to check out this football team, see the job that Eric Mangini and his staff and his football players have done here. And he's got the proverbial, if you want to say, pelts on the wall. He's got the 3 Super Bowls. He's got the playoff appearances. Career record. He knows what it takes to put a football team together. You look at what he and Ron Wolf did in Green Bay, Don, and then what he did with help out in Seattle.
Aaron Mangini, I have to think you got to give a guy more than 1 year, but that's not going to be my decision for certain. Mangini was quite a football player in his day at Wesleyan, Division III. 36.5 sacks as a nose tackle. He might plug himself in that lineup someday if he needs a guy. But couldn't move him. One of my sons played against him.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Williams.
I'm pretty interested to see what Mike Holmgren does specifically with Eric Mangini, because I think he and his staff have done a very good job here in the second half of the season.
High spinning kick to downfield. Here is Gary Russell from the 2. Sometimes when it goes right, everything goes right. How about the Bucs and the Saints? James Brown has more on that.
Don and Randy, the Saints, all they need is a win to clinch home field, but Tampa has other ideas. Michael Spurlock on this punt return notched the score at 17-all with that 77-yard punt return. Shades of Don Criqui back at Notre Dame. All right, back to Don Criqui and Randy Cross.
All right, JB.
Wow. Saints just cannot stop flirting with danger, can they?
They're not getting better down the stretch, that's for sure.
They're not. They're the last 5-6 weeks. Sean Payton's talked about we got to start well. We got to start well. Well, they're not starting terribly fast, and they're not finishing that well either.
I'll tell you who's finishing well. You saw them the other night, the Chargers. Man.
Yeah, they said it perfectly in the pregame show. You know, there's a lot of teams. Obviously, 12 will be in the playoffs, but you don't want the Chargers. I don't care if it's at their place, at your place, at a neutral site. Don't get the Chargers on your schedule.
Well, to win the Super Bowl, you have to win on the road because the Super Bowl's played on the road, and the Chargers this year have played 8 road games and won 7. 7-1 on the road.
Number 86 made contact with official unnecessarily. He is ejected from the game on Oakland. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
That's Tony Stewart, the tight end, with unnecessary contact to the official. And he has been sent to the locker room. So that's the second Oakland Raider ejected. And if you are ejected, you are like see you later bye ejected, not out of the game. You're supposed to get out of the field, off the field.
Defensive back Stanford Rout was ejected in the first half for the Raiders. There's Brown following, man. This is like the good old days here in Cleveland.
Well, Corey Williams almost had himself a safety on Charlie Fry. Just did get that off in Miller's general direction, because watch 99, Corey Williams working on the stunt right up the middle, right in Charlie Fry's kitchen. Fry just does get that off, almost completed it. But great pressure by the defensive tackle / nose tackle of the Browns.
Williams has 4 sacks, had 2 against the Steelers in the Browns win. 2nd and 10. Boy, up in the throw the ball. A lot of pop on that throw to Schillens. 21-yard gain on the play, but
there's the problem with blitzing. You're going to bring corners, you're going to bring safeties. Quarterback like Charlie Fry, like you talked about, he has learned a lot in his stay in Seattle with Holmgren and Hasselbeck. Learned how to be a quarterback a little bit more than he did when he was with Cleveland. Boy, it's a great example.
Diving catch out to the 35-yard line. Todd Watkins, a second-year receiver, makes an 8-yard grab.
Cornell Green, the right tackle of the Raiders, is down right now on the field.
Raiders have all of their timeouts left and 7.5 minutes left to play. The Patriots have clinched their division, the AFC East. Miami's in deep trouble.
So that's 3 in and 3 to go. All of a sudden you're in the hunt. Now Jacksonville's still in the hunt at 7 and 8 mathematically. But we talked about that, taking care of your own business. You know, your fate is up to you. Baltimore and Denver and Cincinnati. You can go from in the hunt to see you later, see you next season. Make those golf reservations early pretty fast in week 16.
Well, you played on a multiple Super Bowl winners with the 49ers. How big is that week off?
I personally kind of think it's overrated.
Really? Hey, Fry finding the mark, but the Browns are playing that really deep defense. Not wanting to give up the long ball. 11-yard gain there.
Well, look at the last couple of years, Don. Look at the home field advantage, quote unquote, in those divisional playoff games. You haven't seen that hold up a lot. Look at the Giants. If the Giants would have had 2 years ago a week off, think would have been better off than playing all those games. They thrived on it.
What a catch by Zach Miller.
A perfect throw by Charlie Fry.
Say he's as good as the other Sun Devil who plays for Baltimore, tight end from Arizona State. Heap.
And another flag, an unsportsmanlike conduct. And I believe it's unsportsmanlike. Is this going against Miller? Are they going to back this thing up?
27-yard gain if it goes.
It's after the play.
After the play is over, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting number 80 of the offense. Threw the ball at the player on the ground. 15 yards.
Man.
It'll still be first down.
What did he do? I mean, he just made a fantastic play.
Watch. Well, it doesn't always have to be verbal taunting. Just drop the ball, go back. I don't know about that. No, that doesn't look like an awful lot to me.
So instead, the line of scrimmage is at the 41-yard line of the Browns, and here's
Mario Henderson just jumped off sides.
False start.
Left tackle for the Raiders.
75 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Let's take a look at the cross-examination of the Raiders.
A little bit of looking towards 2010. They need stability at that position. They don't need greatness, but they do need stability. Gradkowski gave them that. They need a veteran wide receiver to get in among these young guys, teach them a little bit, and they need more defensive back depth. Need more than just Asamoah, because you're playing this division against San Diego and Denver, Kansas City. You're going to need some guys that can cover.
There is a Fries running hard, got some back, down close to the 39-yard line.
I'm surprised Mike Adams didn't hammer that thing out. Fry did a good job of holding on to it. Adams had come on the blitz and was circling back around, and he's the one who made the tackle on Fry, but did it as he was hacking at the ball.
But the clock continues to wind down, and the Browns continue to lead by 14. Miller. Third year from Arizona State. He is a tremendous receiver. Led the Oakland Raiders in receptions, total receptions last year. With 56, he's way above that this year.
Third and short. Remember, you're down 14 points. You're still down 2 scores. Get a touchdown, get the ball back, get another touchdown. It's easy to say, it's harder to do, especially when you're facing a 3rd and 1.
Miller's caught 8 today. They're going to give it to Bush. No, they're going to throw it. His catch, Lewis Murphy. First down, Raiders.
What a nice job by the rookie receiver, Don. You see how he went up and got it and brought it immediately right back into his body? That was beautiful.
He knows about winning at 2 national championship teams at Florida. He was captain of 1. Had a tremendous day against Pittsburgh. There is a throw. Miller had it and lost it, looking for a flag, none forthcoming. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Raiders.
And Fry's just throwing this right at the back of his receiver, right at the back of his tight end Miller, expecting him to go get it. You know, it wasn't a real blatant kind of a taunt or anything that Miller did earlier, but remember, Don, you have to take it in the context of this game. Some of the stuff that's already gone out, the amount of taunting, the amount of unsportsmanlike conduct that's happened, these officials are not going to tolerate much garbage.
No. That's a mandate from the league office. That's in every game. Taunting, shoving after the play. You're going to get fouled. Flag will be up, and here is a long ball to the end zone, and it is intercepted. The 3rd pick of the day. Now's a penalty marker down, though, inside the 5-yard line.
You're going to have a little illegal contact, I think. Might be on Cleveland, I believe. Yep. A little illegal contact down the field, working against Miller in the end zone.
Precipitation falling here in northern Ohio. Kind of a mix of rain and snow.
Remember, if the foul occurred in the end zone, we're going to have the ball on the 1-yard line.
Game clock down to 4:40 to play. Browns led at the half, 17-9.
Pass interference, defense, number 23. Ball replacement, spot the foul. First down.
Hank Poteet.
And the contact happened on the 2-yard line, so that's where the ball will be placed. Watch Hank Poteet right here working against Miller.
Wow.
Not much, but remember, past 5 yards, you are not allowed to contact.
So the Raiders not far from their first touchdown if they can hammer it in here, but 4:40 is all that remains.
Plenty of time if you can stop the run for Cleveland. Raiders get a quick touchdown. There is plenty of time to make this interesting.
Fry broken up. Schillens the target. Looked a lot like the pattern they ran last week at Denver to win the game when Jamarcus Russell threw.
Yeah, the only real difference is last week it was a rookie, Alphonso Smith. This week it's a veteran in Eric Wright, and Eric Wright does a very nice job body position wise being inside of Schillens. He doesn't give him that access to the ball that Alphonso Smith from Denver gave him last week.
This is the 11th play of the drive coming up for the Raiders, down by 14.
Ball slipped.
3rd and goal.
Corey Williams is trying to talk Jeff Triplett into the fact that that was a fumble. It's a heck of an effort by Corey Williams to affect the throw, getting in Charlie Fry's legs, but it was a throw nonetheless.
Raiders with the clock stop elect wisely to huddle up. Big down. This is 2 down territory. Obviously down by 14 with 4:32 to play.
Play clock inside 5.
There's the fade pattern again.
Was right inside. Was he in bounds? Yes, they call him that interception touchback.
3rd interception of the day thrown by Fry.
I'll tell you what, you don't have to be just a wide receiver to have great body control and ball skills. Watch the feet, look at the ball. Control one. I don't know. I don't know. Looks like maybe just one. Let's take a look at it from another angle. Remember, you've got to control the ball before you start counting feet. Yeah, from that angle, it looks like he actually does catches it at the highest point. You young DBs, go get it. Go get it at its highest point. He's got it. There's one. And he's out of bounds. I don't think that's an interception.
No, it's not.
Watch the feet.
Has the ball. 1 foot down.
Now, if he has it there, that's one.
1 foot
Number
out.
2 goes out. I don't think that's an interception. There is contact.
So the
But
review.
remember, we changed that rule. Was it last year, right?
Yes.
You've got to get, regardless of contact, you've got to get both feet in. There's no more of that.
And in the last 2 minutes of a half, the call for a review comes from upstairs. Precipitation falling heavier now. What is this?
One
Is
more
this
time.
rain or snow or something?
It's all the above. So here at 4:27,
Now it looks like snow.
Tom Cable wants them to take one last look at this thing.
So while it's reviewed upstairs, we'll see if Fry will live to throw again. Remember, just 2 plays prior to that, he had an intercepted ball in the end zone, but there was a penalty call against the Browns that negated that.
Nonetheless, it was a beautiful job by Eric Wright getting in an inside position, getting up, getting the ball. I don't believe he got that 2nd foot down to make it an interception. I think what it's going to set up, it's going to set up a 4th down. Raiders won't be kicking. They've got to go for it. Again, one more time. 1 foot. Next foot comes in out of bounds. He does control the ball. I mean, it's clearly a catch. He just doesn't get his feet down to make it an illegal catch.
Raiders are walking their offense back out.
And the Cleveland Browns have their defense already back out.
Seven left to play.
Here's Jeff Triplett.
After review, the interceptor gets the ball 1 foot down inbounds. The second foot is out of bounds. It is an incomplete pass. Oakland is not charged a timeout and utilizes their first challenge.
Excuse me, they're not in the
clock
last
is
2
correct.
minutes.
It'll be 4th down
But
at the 2-yard
there is a
line and goal.
review.
Right, and that goes on the stat sheet, Don. It doesn't go in as an INT. It goes in as a PD, as a pass defense for Eric Wright. One more time. 4th down, 4th and 2, 4:27 left, Don.
4:27 left, and if they can get it in, kick the point down by 7.
The Raiders still have 3 timeouts left. They did not lose a timeout on that challenge, so they have 3 timeouts left.
Wide to the right goes Schillings. Wide left is McFadden. 4th and goal. Fry looks, fires. Dropped. Penalty marker.
Penalty. Oh, are they going to call that contact?
Lewis Murphy was the target.
Working against Mike Adams out there at corner.
Murphy might have. Doing this one, they could go offense. We'll find out.
I think
one
it is.
guy knows.
Yeah, 2 do. Mike Adams knows.
Yep. All on the offense on Lewis Murphy. Offensive pass interference. And the Browns take over the ball and in truth the game with a 23-9 lead and 4:22 left to play.
Not a bad play call. Just don't get the opportunity. Look at Mike Adams, that left hand. He's fallen to the ground. Murphy gets a little left hand push off. That's what they call it. But look at Adams. Oh, left hand just bats that thing away. Beautiful play. Beautiful play by Mike Adams. Pops, huh?
That's what they call him, Pops. From the University of Delaware, a blue hen.
Okay, 4:22 left. You got the team backed up on the 2-yard line. You're the Cleveland Browns. You don't have to give the ball back. You can run this thing 3, 4 first downs, make the Raiders use their timeouts. You can end it right here.
Harrison has been the guy all day long. He is again. Raiders stop the run, a gain of 2 out to the 4. Cincinnati has won their division with a victory today. They're now 10-5.
So that wraps up all the divisions. So we know where some of these games are going to be played. We just don't necessarily know where some of them win, some of them are.
Well, the Raiders, as you know, Randy, they could have something to say about it next week. They have Baltimore going out there, out to Oakland. When the Raiders won here in January of '81, they were a wild card team. They beat the Browns 14-12 in a playoff game here. Pittsburgh just beat Baltimore
23-20, so that takes Baltimore, deals a blow to their, controls their own destiny.
Yep.
They were 8-6, they're now 8-7, trying to be that wild card, one of those 2 wild card teams. Yeah, but that was, I remember that 77 Raider team with Snake Stabler and them were really good. The 83 team was very good. They beat the Redskins. That 80 team just caught fire at the perfect time under Jim Plunkett.
winning here. Browns are really elected to throw to the end zone. They could have kicked a winning field goal. Mike Davis made the play, and then the Raiders went on to beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl in January of 1981.
Floyd Womack jumps off sides there. Now I know it's just half the distance. Now you're going from the 3 to about the 1.5, Don, but second down. This thing is not, with 4 minutes to go, this is not even close to over.
Tampa Bay beating New Orleans in overtime.
It puts Minnesota back into the hunt for that number 2 spot.
Yep. The game was played January 4th, 1981, part of the '80 season. Mark Van Eegen scored a couple of touchdowns for the Raiders. And that's all they needed. Here's Sipe throwing to the end zone. Rutigliano said if it's not wide open, throw it in the lake and we'll kick a field goal. And the playoff picture continues to be updated.
How about the Pittsburgh Steelers? They lose that series of games, 5 straight. I mean, that was amazing. And losing to the Raiders, losing to the Browns, losing to the Chiefs. Now they're back at 8-7 after 2 really nice performances back to back.
Houston Texans have just defeated the Miami Dolphins.
In the hunt, as they say. Good for Gary Kubiak and company. They definitely had the adversity.
I'll tell you, they can be very good. The day we saw them in Cincinnati, they were tremendous, the Texans.
It's going to set up a punt now for the Browns. It gives them a little bit of room to kick with. Yeah, at Houston, I mean, you've got the combination of players they have with Slayton and Kubiak and an all-world type of receiver like Andre Johnson. And some pretty slick talent on the defensive side of the ball they've drafted too.
There's Reggie Hodges coming out to punt. Dave Zastudil got hurt. He's averaging almost 45 a punt, and he's been very effective. Reggie Hodges.
Okay, now Don, it's still 4 minutes and 5 seconds left. Oakland has burned up their timeouts. They're down to 0 now. But you've still got 4 minutes left, and you are a quick strike football team. Nothing's out of the realm of possibility. This is within question. You're down by 14 points. It's 2 scores.
You have to wonder, Randy, did they ever consider putting Jamarcus Russell in the game? Because Fry, 3 interceptions is a lot of picks.
No, I think if they have their druthers, they have, like they said, they haven't given up.
One was negated, but here's the punt. Hit well to Johnny Lee Higgins. And the Raiders take over at their 47-yard line with still 4 minutes to play. Jamarcus Russell, he's not used to this. He's got the Aspen wear on there.
Yeah.
Heavenly Valley.
Looks like Admiral Byrd about to take the pole in silver and black.
AFC playoff picture. The Colts, the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Bengals. Divisional champions. And the Colts, of course, clear all the way through. To get to the Super Bowl in the AFC, you've got to go through the oil drum, as they call it, in Indianapolis.
All the Denver Broncos have to do is go to Philadelphia, one of the hottest teams in the league, and win. Philly's just 10-4.
I tell you, the Eagles have a former Cal Bear at LaShawn Jackson. He is unbelievable. Here is a throw over midfield to Chaz Schillens. And now,
nice job by Furry, coming up from his safety spot to make that tackle. Still going to have more than 3.5 minutes, or 3.5 minutes to go in this football game by the time they snap this next one.
Fry gets time. Throws. The Browns doing a good job, but Miller breaks the tackles. And Zach Miller is down and out of bounds at the 17-yard line of the Browns with a first down. And 3:25 left to play.
That wasn't tackling. That was grabby, touchy feeling. That looked like a seance, not a tackle attempt.
It's really.
Thought they were trying to pick his pocket, not put him on the ground. And he made him pay for it. Great job by Zach Miller.
Yeah, you see a lot of big plays broken when guys go for the strip and don't tackle.
And it lets him get to the sideline. And not only lets him get to the sideline, but lets him get an extra 15, 20 yards onto the end of that play and get out of bounds to stop the clock.
Fry's got to hit something in the end zone.
Got to bring the blitz. Here comes the blitz.
Checks down. Marcel Reese. He's all the way down to the 8-yard line.
Boy, he's waving that ball around.
He is.
Defense will home in on that. I'd get him out of there and just at least for one play to tell him to put that ball away.
Fry. Picked again. Oh, that was sweet. Eric Wright. He could play on the other side of the ball. What hands.
It was he just baited Charlie Fry. Fry thought he was looking at a man defense. He was looking at a zone. Eric Wright just stops, comes off the coverage, and plants himself right underneath Chaz Schilens. He sees Charlie Fry zero in on Schilens, start to throw that ball. Watch 24 from the right side of your screen just leap up in front of that pass. Now there's some nice defense there.
So the Browns, a solid performance, a lot of defense. It started early. First pass the Raiders threw today in the opening possession from scrimmage of the day by Fry was intercepted. And the Browns soon after had a 17-yard touchdown run from Harrison and a lead, which they've never relinquished. They built to 10-0. And we're down to 2:42 left to play as the Browns now go to their third straight win. The executive producer of the NFL on CBS is Sean McManus. The vice president of production is Harold Bryant. Today's game was produced by Steve Shear and directed by Jim Cornell. Senior producer of CBS Sports and the NFL Today is Eric Mann. The director, Bob Matina. The coordinated producer of the NFL on CBS is Lance Barrow. The coordinating producer of CBS Sports is Steve Karasik. The associate director of today's game is Steve McKee. The broadcast associate, George Biscuit Wishart. The technical manager is John Bitstrup. The technical director is William Masterakis. The audio supervisor is Jay Willis. As right now we're down to the 2-minute warning. The Browns have it in hand.
Defensive ends Michaels.
Don Criqui with Randy Cross, Cleveland Stadium. Browns in command, 23-9. Coming up next on a doubleheader day on CBS, the Broncos meet the Eagles at Philadelphia, and the Jets at Indianapolis, where the Colts are 14-0. Check your local listings.
I know there's a lot of talk about being perfect for the Colts. I think they make one how important 16-0 is. Call Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Ask him how important being 16-0 was a couple of years ago.
And they were. Only to lose in the NFC Championship game. AFC Championship game. And now it's handoff as the Browns just want to run the clock as much as they can. Raiders out of timeouts. They can't stop the clock.
And when you think about it, the Patriots went toe-to-toe with the New York Giants in Week 17. Great game. But tell me that didn't not only give the Giants a pretty good roadmap of how you beat the Patriots, it gave everybody in the playoffs on the AFC side a pretty good picture of how you slow that football team down. So it's all about winning the last one. People get too caught up in this. Oh, you got to beat the 72 Dolphins. Let them have their 17-0. Just get yourself a ring and a trophy.
Yeah, the Browns, they've never been to the Super Bowl. Either this, the new franchise, or the old. Randy, how about your surprises of the season?
Well, it's been a heck of a year for the NFL. I'm proud of what everybody's put on the field. I think Chris Johnson and Deshaun Jackson in Tennessee and Philadelphia, respectively, how much they've grown. They were good to start with. They are superstars now. The impact of the three kids from USC. You know, you've got Cushing, you got Matthews, and they've just been unbelievable. Malaluga and Brett Favre. I was wrong about Brett Favre. You listen to Charlie Casserly in the NFL Today this morning. He's 100% correct. Look at Brett Favre from past years. Look at him now. He's playing differently. He's sharper late in the year than he's ever been.
Yeah, you talked about motivation, and he certainly has it. A lot of people thought he was way beyond his years coming back at age 40, and he's probably having one of his greatest seasons. Higgins loses the ball out of bounds. And how about some disappointments, Randy Cross, at this 09 season?
Well, without a doubt, like everybody else, I thought the Bears would be pretty good with Jay Cutler. Cutler leading the league in interceptions. Giants didn't play well either side of the line of scrimmage. I thought they played very poorly this year. They may still get in the playoffs, but they got nobody to blame but themselves. And the Steelers, it wasn't a Super Bowl hangover, but man, the Steelers had injuries. They had a lot of things happen, and they looked like half the team they were the year before for a good chunk of the middle of this season.
Well, as you were pointing out, their running game went away.
And late pressure. They've gotten sacks this year, but late in games they haven't gotten the sacks they need.
Charlie Frye just throwing a hope up in the direction of Zach Miller, who going to 3 straight with this win today.
Yeah, I mean they are right now playing, I believe, a little bit over their skis. I think they're a really well coached team, and I think some of these players are playing as well as they possibly can. That's what's fueling this team right now.
Bush makes the catch, gets out of bounds, stops the clock. 55 seconds to play.
Just bolt inside and not remember the situation and get out of bounds and get that clock stopped.
He's got to be gun shy though, Randy Frye, because his downfield throws, I mean, he's had 3 picked. He's looking at the out pattern. Now he goes downfield. Lewis Murphy the target. Again, the Browns with good coverage, getting the safety over Elam to help out.
Well, we talked about the job that Rob Ryan's defense has done, and Rob Ryan and Eric Mangini's defense has done a very nice job of confusing, I think at times, Charlie Frye. It's not so much a confusion issue as you're positive about what you see, but what you see is not what exactly you're getting by the time the play unfolds. And you've seen him just throw clean right into the middle of a coverage, and that's usually because he assumes there's nobody there.
Well, they give him time now with a 3-man rush. He still has problems. They're going to sack him.
Yep, like they did to Ben Roethlisberger a couple weeks ago. They get a rush of 3 players, and Marcus Bernard gets himself a sack.
Another guy, an unrestricted free agent on this Browns roster, a rookie from Jackson State, getting good grades. Well, one thing you know about Mike Holmgren, anybody who's been around him, he's anything but a frivolous guy. Everything's going to be studied in detail. It'll be a very fair appraisal. If you want to play on his team, the team he'll be running, show him. And I think a lot of Browns have today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Including some of these coaches. Because I've said it earlier, I'll say it again because I believe it. This group has done a wonderful job of coaching these kids up.
Well, Rob Ryan got the Gatorade bath. His last 5 years, he was the defensive coordinator of the Raiders, and he comes back today. And Mangini has to be feeling a lot better about things, and he deserves to be feeling a lot better.
That's a lot of mane to Rob Ryan to have soaked in this kind of weather.
So for Randy Cross, this is Don Criqui saying so long from Cleveland, where the final score is the Browns 23 and the Raiders 9. Coming up next, game 2 of our NFL on CBS doubleheader. Most of you will see Denver at Philadelphia, others the Jets at Indianapolis. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of Super Bowl 44.